Welcome everyone to What the Force, and welcome to our post-Tross The Rise of Skywalker discussion. And with me to speak about it is Ty Black.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Before we get into everything, I'm going to say this is going to be a complete spoiler everything, and we're going to dig deep into what happened. Before that happens, I need to say some things. There have been some very visceral reactions in the fandom. And if you are feeling like hurt or shocked or anything, you don't know what to say, you're feeling very broken, I want to tell you that that's valid. And that no matter how you are feeling or you are reacting, it's okay to feel that way. Many times within the end of fiction, the end of a character, the way a narrative goes that doesn't align with what we thought it would do, you can feel immense feelings of betrayal or potentially even feelings that, of loss for the character, for the narrative, for what could have been. And that's entirely valid. It is not valid to tell somebody that it's just a story, because psychologically, these stories affect us just as much as our dreams. They become part of us because we experience them on a deep psychological level, especially if we connect with one or more of the characters within the narrative. They are experiencing it, and then we experience it. So when things don't necessarily align to what we thought we needed or what we thought we would get out of it, it can be incredibly disturbing for us. And I want you to know, first and foremost, that anything that you feel is okay. If you loved this, I'm very happy for you to have gotten something out of the experience of Star Wars. For some people, they loved parts of it, but certain parts of it were so in opposition to what they experienced that they ended up feeling massive amounts of almost binary feelings at the same time. And that's very, very confusing and can cause a lot of ongoing processing that people need to go through. The most important thing is that you realize that those feelings are valid. Some people have been experiencing severe emotional distress from this movie. And I want you to be able to recognize that above and beyond how you feel, you might have squashed how you feel about it down. But if you're experiencing one or the following, I need you to recognize that you actually are in emotional distress. You're neglecting your personal hygiene. You've seen a dramatic change in your sleep habits or aren't sleeping as much or sleeping way too much. You've experienced weight gain or loss in the last little while. You're declining in your performance at work or school. There's pronounced changes in your mood, and you're irritable, sad, anger, anxious. Any of these feelings, it means that you're actually in emotional distress. You feel like you're withdrawing from social situations, routine activities, or relationships. Please recognize this and know that it's okay. The next step to do is to seek out and talk to people to be able to express these feelings in a valid and safe environment. Inside of the liner notes of this episode, both on YouTube and on any of your pod apps, there will be a link to the What the Force Discord that I started this week, where people are actually able to share their thoughts more, and if required, talk about the things that they love as they want. You're welcome as part of the What the Force community. Please click on the link and join and share, especially if you don't have any other outlet to share your feelings. If you're still not coping well after you've tried to talk it out with others, please do seek out support from a mental health professional. This is really important, especially in emotional crisis, where you need to have, if you don't have the current coping mechanisms and these things that I've recommended are not working for you, please do reach out to your local health person, mental health professional, and seek out help. It's okay if you need to do that. Because of the sense of betrayal with fiction, and specifically fiction that means something very personal to you, it can reignite other feelings of betrayal that you have experienced in the past. And if you are feeling suicidal or have thoughts of self-harm, please do reach out to your local suicide prevention hotline or help. Just Google it or jump onto the Discord and we'll help you find it, okay? In the US, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. I would not say any of this if I hadn't heard all of this happen within the last week. This is very important that people are having incredible emotional reactions to this movie.
Yeah. And I'll just add to that a little bit that there are so many people that are not going to understand. We have our online communities, and most of us only have that online community. Most of us are not friends with other fans like this in real life, and that's going to affect more right now. That's going to be difficult to work through. I know for me, it's been really, really hard. So talking about it with people in real life feels sometimes like it might minimize it, and it might feel like no one understands you, and people might say it's just a movie, or they might laugh at your pain. But I just want to say that I've been going through it. I've been trying to talk to people about it in real life, and it's hard, and I have to keep that phrase in real life is kind of not fair because my online community is real, and my friends online are real. So I just think it's really important that we talk to each other honestly and not just like posting on Twitter, but the Discord is really, really good place because you feel a little bit more like it's a safe space. So
yeah. And I do plan on deleting that channel where people are sharing their thoughts and emotions once, the time has passed. But people need to have a safe space to share how they felt, because this is not the first time that we've experienced even a sense of mourning for the end of a saga. People experienced this when they thought there would be no more Star Wars movies after the original trilogy. They thought there would be no more Star Wars movies after the end of the prequels. People have reacted this way, for Game of Thrones. People have reacted this way for Avengers Endgame when they felt like it wasn't what they needed or they expected. It's all valid. We're humans. We're not expected to just consume media without having an emotional reaction. The emotional reaction is what makes us human.
Totally.
Okay, so Ty and I are going to talk about several things over the course of this episode, but I wanted to make sure to get that out of the way because it's very, very important. I'm happy that you're staying with us. And I'm going to say that there are things about this moment that were there were things about this movie that were absolutely brilliant. And then there was so much that flew in the face for me personally, of the narratives that we have seen up until this point, especially in the George Lucas era that were considered canon as of the Disney acquisition. And then the Disney new storytelling that was layered on top of that. I knew what was going to happen in this movie because I was accidentally spoiled on Monday night. And that's why I took steps to mitigate the crisis that I knew would happen for some people. Because there had been an overall arching one-story narrative. And although this plays into it, it feels, and we're going to get into that later on, like the movie is fighting itself the whole way. It is a beautifully shot movie. The creative decisions in art design and costuming and planets were gorgeous. Normally in a Star Wars movie, we take moments to experience the galaxy far, far away. I'm just thinking back to pretty much almost every movie that I've ever watched that was made by George Lucas and even TFA and TLJ. As we approach new locations, we see them for a moment. We rest on the location and we see the little details and the creatives work put into that. We barely get time to rest and understand the locations that we exist in the galaxy far, far away. It felt surface level in that way. The pacing itself jumps from place to place, edits quickly. We don't get to live and breathe in the character's space mentally to be able to process what they are experiencing, which is very oppositional to how Star Wars has functioned previously. Although there was screen wipes, usually screen wipes and fades are used to linger a little bit longer in the moment. Although there were screen wipes, they were used very quickly and not to establish the environment that we were existing in. So the fast pace, the pieces of the movie construction-wise ended up feeling oppositional to what I feel Star Wars has been for 42 years.
Yeah. So
do you want me to go on? Or do you have thoughts?
I definitely don't want to linger too much on my reaction because it's still ongoing. But yeah. And it will be for a lot of us for a while. But Marie Claire told me she kind of go back a little bit further. I started to feel a little bit of like some red flags kind of towards the end when the movie was about to premiere. And I had a nightmare about it. And I was like, I don't know, something feels wrong. Like something feels weird. And then
you told me you had a nightmare and I said, would you like to know? Would you like the blue pill or the red pill?
Yeah.
And I forgot which one was which, by the way, because I'm an idiot.
That was funny. I was like, okay, fine, red pill. And she goes, wait, which one is which?
Oh my God.
It was so funny. But that was like, obviously, like that was the biggest, like, okay, Ty, this movie is not going to go the way you want it to. I wasn't what I was expecting. I still was locked in for, being disappointed in certain elements, but being able to dig into like, okay, what's going on here? What's the symbolism and whatnot? And I didn't expect.
And, like, I am excited to get into the meta of this so much.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because
that's what I'm looking forward to.
There is an explanation and there is a reason and there is understanding to be had. And we are going to get to that in a little bit into this episode, but we're going to talk about it more, I think, in future episodes too. But for this, what ended up happening was that I did get spoiled by MC. We ended up chatting on the phone. She told me, the leaks are real. This is what happens. And I kind of take on the opposite role of anything that anyone gives to me energy wise. So I kind of tried my best to like think through it logically because you were emotional and I was just like, okay, like, all right, this is what we have to deal with. This is what we have to deal with, like we'll figure it out. And with MC and with how she breaks things down, I just thought, if anyone can figure this out and if anyone can push the fandom forward, it's her. And and of course she's emotional because this whole podcast started with like The Last Jedi and we have to find a way to continue on because there is so much that there's so much that we've like delved into, like from the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. And there have been creatives that have told us that we're right. They've told MC on the podcast that she is right and that she's one of the people that is actually analyzing Star Wars in such a good, positive way. So there's so much to be sad about, but at the same time, there are people that are still creating these stories that, like, they have our backs. I believe that. Like, I truly believe that. I think that we're right. And I think what MC is going to talk about in a little bit. I think that's
what happened.
I think that
I'm sorry, I'm crying now. Thank you for saying such lovely words.
I think that things are gonna be okay.
God.
I definitely got emotional after I saw the film. To go back to like kind of my initial reaction, I kept it all inside. I kind of visibly shook in my seat whenever whenever he died, like, because I think that was that felt like the biggest betrayal because of the way he died. Like, obviously, like, we're going to get into this, but it's not the idea of him dying. It is the way that it happened and the things that led up to it and the things that took place after it. It is the whole thing that felt like such a betrayal. And when I came home to my husband, this movie was supposed to be, for me, going into it, and this has nothing to do with my expectations. This has to do with the end of a saga that I think is beautiful and hopeful. And it's about family, and I connected with Rey so much. And to walk out of that film and have her be alone, it killed me. And a lot of people that listen to this podcast like know that I've experienced, like, I'll say it here too. And I've had 2 miscarriages this year, and and one of those happened at Star Wars Celebration. So I've gone through like some weird stuff in trying to like create a family of my own and moving on to the next chapter with my family. And I don't have kids, so like this is important to me, and I'm trying to do this. And good God, to walk out of that film and just know that, like, that's how it ended. It just, and when The Last Jedi, like, seemed like it was setting us up for Rey to have children. And I just don't know, like, what happened with that. And now that I'm digging into it, obviously I understand a lot better. But a lot of people were interpreting that the underlying, like, the subtext of that journey was supposed to end because of the context of Star Wars. It should have ended with kids. It should have gotten us back to the Anakin, the little boy that we knew from the prequels. It should have gotten us back to that beginning, not the beginning of the OT, the beginning of the PT. And so that's when I got home and I saw, the state that I'm living in, and then that meta-contextual weirdness, I guess, that my mind is always playing with my media that I consume. I just broke down. And I broke down again last night. And I keep having these moments where I just remember and I think about it and I break down again. So as good as I'm handling it, I'm still not handling it well, because it meant something to me for other reasons other than just, oh, I thought Ben was hot and I wanted him to live. That's bullshit.
Yeah. This story meant something to me on a very meta level, and we can go into how it kind of breaks those things. And I remember messaging like people, that I consider to be friends that I've made along the way. Like, everybody that is in my Star Wars circle, I have made friends with because of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Same. I messaged them all, and my biggest frustration with this movie, as pretty as stimula driven as it is that it broke George Lucas's myth.
Yeah.
And that breaks my heart for every creator that bled for George Lucas during the prequels and for the previous 2 sequel movies.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't necessarily need Ben Solo to live, but it said something about our society if he had.
Yeah.
It said that we do not require blood to be redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't require a literal sacrificial lamb to understand the compassion and the humanity between us all. And there's going to be some glorious points that I'm going to get into in a moment that actually shone, like they were beautiful, and it was the things that I called. That's the that's the kick in the pants. Like, I called so much of this movie. Like, and how it played out, it feels like I bled to make these things happen, because I saw them in the thematic truths of the myth that they retained. And I'm going to say that word very, very forwardly, because if they had listened to the myth, we would have gotten a very different story. But they broke the myth purposefully. Mm-hmm. And that's, I have, all right. My day 2 involved grieving for the loss of Star Wars and trying to decide if I should pack up all of my Star Wars shirts and put them into a box and never look at them again. I have too many Star Wars shirts. I realized I would have like nothing to wear. You know what I'm saying? Like, Star Wars is innately part of the fabric of who I am. That's the wound that I feel right now, is that they hurt the story and the creators with this movie, and they hurt the culture. This is a cultural wound, because now we have a generation of people that don't see the myth completed in the way it should have been. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I had those thoughts. I called my husband, actually, and at my lowest point, I said, Kyle, have the last 2 years been a waste? Has the love that I have for this world and myth and story and what I have done with this podcast been a waste for 2 years? And he said, of course not.
Yeah,
because it's about the journey that I have had in this time. Mm-hmm. And when I was okay with that answer, I asked, how do I do this now, knowing that this hurts so much? Yeah. And I can tell you exactly why it hurt. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to at this moment, because I want to keep on talking about my process and what I've gone through. But then I realized, if I'm experiencing this, and I can be incredibly rational about a lot of things, if I'm experiencing this, the reactions of others will be worse. So I thought about what Star Wars has taught me over my entire life, which is that by connecting with others, we find our own humanity. By connecting with the force of others, we are able to transcend ourselves. We are not just ourselves, but we are the others that are around us. And it's about having compassion for others and asking yourself, in this moment, even though I'm in pain, others are in pain too. And how can I help them? Mm-hmm. So I set up that Discord server. I jumped onto Twitter and I said to as many people who were coming out of the theaters in other time zones, or who had read the leaks or read the spoilers, because immediately the spoilers were everywhere, screenshots, screen cams, everything, that if they were having a reaction to this movie, that they were valid. It's okay to feel. It's okay. It's okay to feel this way. Mm-hmm. And that helped me get through till Thursday. I was dreading watching it. At times I felt nauseous. Throughout the week leading up to it, it felt like a slow car crash that I was just watching in slow motion as it was happening. It's a burning building, or like a crashed building, and I was trying to drag people out, give them, a blanket and a warm cup of tea and say, I know. Yeah. So if you know somebody who needs this Discord server just to talk about it for a little while, it's really helping people.
Yeah, it is.
I watched the movie with my 2 children, my husband, and 3 of my guy friends, because I couldn't get local female friends to come and see it. I have a few that are Raylos. I had already canceled my 3rd viewing of the movie. I kept my 2nd viewing just in case I wanted to go, which I was going with my mom the next day. I sat down. I was anxious. From the first moments of the crawl, my daughter leaned over to me and said, "This crawl feels weird." She didn't know anything. We had just finished watching all of the movies. She knew instinctively that this was not Star Wars for her, based on the previous 8 movies. Mm-hmm. We get the movie in, which is beautiful, and Adam is beautiful.
Yeah.
He's glorious in this movie. They didn't give him enough. I would love to see all of the B-reel that they didn't keep. Mm-hmm. We find out what has happened, and it's like the immediate, everything is kind of off-center. It doesn't feel innately Star Wars to me. Yeah. How the characters are acting feels out of character for almost every single character in the movie. Mm-hmm. Even Palpatine is way out of character. He's a planner. He knows what's going to happen, and yet he can't seem to decide what he wants out of Rey. Like, I want to kill her. No, I want to have some sort of dark union. I can't believe I was right about dark union.
It's because they knew that he needed to want her, but they didn't know how, and they were too afraid to lean into any one thing because they didn't lean into anything. Yeah.
So we have the notion that both Rey and Kylo are basically their characters before they have met, except they have met. It's like they have backpedaled, they have slipped. Both of these characters have not grown in an entire year.
Yeah.
So Kylo, trying to play both sides, I guess, makes the deal with Palpatine. And it's so funny. Like, I'm going to make fun of this movie to the day I die because of the ridiculousness of it. Yeah. He walks into the Sith location, which is actually quite beautiful. Kudos to the set designers and the creatives associated with it. It made me want to know everything that has ever happened in that temple. And he walks into this location in his full, like, Kylo bravado of being a badass and everything like that. And we see a literal, it's like gilding the lily. It's so funny. It's so funny. Okay. Palpatine's like, I've been every voice inside your head, like Snoke. And Snoke was my puppet. And then we literally see like a vat of Snokes. And I was like, okay, so we're just going to smack you in the face now with our exposition, not just tell you the exposition. Right. This is for a different group of people watching this movie. This is not for us. So this is important to pay attention to. Anytime the exposition is happening, it happens on 2 levels. So you make sure you get it. You got it. You got it. You're paying attention because you're ridiculous and you don't understand anything. Jesus, it's silly.
What's a group of Snokes called?
What is a group of Snokes? No, I didn't see that.
A sneak. Who made that up? Was it Manny or was it Matt? I don't remember.
I don't know. Just like just ridiculous. Like, we have to hear it. They could have just said, I have been every voice inside of your head and shown us the Snokes, but they told us and showed us just because people don't believe the narrative. And I'm talking about a certain person type. People who question the minutia of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? So there are some very specific choices that have been made in this movie that are absolutely just ridiculous because they needed to show and tell us. And show, don't tell us don't show us.
Yeah.
Or symbolically reflect it.
Yep.
But don't do both.
I feel like somebody said, like, in The Last Jedi, like, everything meant something. And then if you go back into TFA, you can see how there was no symbolism prior to The Last Jedi. but The Last Jedi made things in TFA matter when they didn't before. It gave symbols to the Force Awakens. But this film, there are no symbols. there is no like everything like
there's symbols, but there are
symbols, but they're so obvious. Like there's
unintentional symbolism, which is hilarious. It's so funny. And I want to talk about how many kinks have been produced by this movie. Way more kinks. Oh my God. Okay. Anyways, so why does he keep a vat of Snokes around? That's an interesting question. Just in case he wants to pop a coin in there, roll out a Snoke for some reason. Cool.
Yeah. Why did there have to be so many sneaks? Sneak? I don't know. Like, I just...
Okay. So Kylo deciding that he will play both sides. Actually, he does kind of three things, which is fascinating. He's like, yes, I agree with you. I will totally go along with your plan, which they don't actually show us. They just kind of assume, which is kind of nice, that we will pick it up. But he also is like, okay, I'm going to go along with it so I can gain your power because screw you, old man. I'm going to be cooler. I'm going to finish what Darth Vader started, but not the way... I don't know. So something. Okay. And then he's like, oh, but I totally want to get back together with my old girlfriend. Okay, so that's where we're at. Literally, Kylo wants to, like, have Palpatine's power, pretend to be Palpatine's puppet, but not, but then convince Rey that she should rule with him. And at that moment... the one mystery of the movie that is badly handled, Palpatine is like, go and kill her. And he's like, I'm not killing my girlfriend. But guess what? She's a Palpatine. That means she's like me. That's literally what we are forced to, instead of maybe some of the other things that we had thought out of The Last Jedi, Kylo's reaction to Palpatine's news that she is his granddaughter. And I just honestly want to be I can't wait to read the novelization. I want to be inside of Ben's head when he hears this. I want to hear him go, huh.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, also, the Sith have never gone away ever. They have only gotten more powerful. Somehow in the middle of nowhere in the universe, they have millions of people working and living for 30 years just in time for this moment.
Yeah.
Deus Ex what?
And that's so much of the film. It's like there's so much that's added where the people who do the expanded material have to go back and explain eventually. And it's like...
I love you guys so much. I love the story group so much. They didn't deserve this.
No. It's awful. Like, there's so many things they're gonna have to tell. Like, and it's not where they really wanted to go.
If Palpatine hadn't been a Palpa puppet, it wouldn't have undermined Anakin's sacrifice. If he had been trapped in the Death Star ruins, or if he had been, yes, maybe his soul was kept in something and he was kind of influencing this cult. That would have been cool. Yep. But him actually living as a Palpa puppet means nothing that Anakin ever did as the chosen one actually mattered.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what a lot of guys are having an issue with.
The crux of the myth breaking. So that's the start of it. That is when the fractures start appear, much like Kylo's mask. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna go into why it wasn't actually kintsugi, by the way.
Yeah.
Even though it's in the visual dictionary, repaired like with this sacred like iron, blah blah blah, but like it didn't mean what kintsugi means. So the symbol isn't true.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kylo goes back, he goes and fixes his helmet because for some reason. That's cool. Why did he need to fix his helmet? I still don't understand. I
don't. So I'm like not in a place to pick apart all of these things because to me, like, I don't know how they wrote this. Like, they could have written it as, you know what I mean? Like, It could have been a checklist.
Well, hey, no. My daughter and my son were like, wow, this was very prettily pointless.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty profound that your children said that, because
and also my daughter said this was a fan movie, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't feel real.
No, it doesn't. It feels like a bad dream.
Yeah. Okay, but I'll just say he puts his helmet back together. Thank God we have Ray Carson to give us some sort of meaning to that.
Yeah.
The Knights of Ren, who never speak. I still don't know why they exist, but they're cool looking. And they don't like clean floors because they march in and their boots are eternally muddy. That was the one thing I noticed about them walking around. I was like, was this taken from a different part of the movie?
Yeah.
Because they were on a clean ship and they were fixing and then they came back and then they yelled at their officers. And oh my God, the stormtroopers, the Knights of Ren. Cool.
Yeah. Like, what are they? What's the point? Like,
they're just window dressing, I suppose. The windowest of window dressing. Thank you for not giving us meaning to these cool things. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All the cool things.
Cool.
Even the light speed skipping thing that they did. I was talking about this with someone online recently. Like, there was no reason for that other than to show that Poe was originally like a drug runner, or spice runner, which is like so awful. But the light speed jumping,
you mean racist?
Should have had some kind of
yeah.
But the light speed jumping should have had some kind of like foreshadowing. I would assume, because all of these things usually that are introduced in Star Wars films are showing us, hey, think about this. Keep this in your mind. Doesn't this look cool? And then they use it later. You know?
Yeah, like if they had said, anything. Yeah, they didn't. It was like, I just created something for the sake of creating something.
Yeah, like there was no reason for it. I thought it was foreshadowing either one, a skywalking fight, or two, the Falcon blowing up because he pushed it to its limits. You know. And I thought, that'd be really cool if that's like how it happens. Like he does it one last time, because he says it. This might be our last one. This might be our last chance or something. Yeah,
and then
that.
it
never means anything later. And that's the whole
never
film
means
to me.
Anything.
Everything reached a dead end.
Yeah,
it just didn't. There was some cool twists, but yeah, the whole film just felt like it had a bunch of dead ends, and it felt like it kept saying. Well, okay, so this is the thing I kept thinking about while watching it, was that it was a bunch of puzzle pieces that were forced together, and anything on its own could mean something that happened, like in another film or within the film itself. Like, you could find those threads, but it didn't actually have an overarching, like, thematic message to it. Mm-hmm. You can find a parallel, you can find a rhyme or whatever, but that didn't mean anything. And so I kept saying when I was watching it, mythical dissonance over and over again. And I'll tell you why I kept thinking that in a little bit, because it's it's
it will feel and there's okay. So then he goes and speaks with his generals, which is actually like, I laughed out loud because it was so ridiculous. Like, normally when we have these like funny moments, it was trying to play on like some of the humor that Hux went through. Like, General Hux, you have a problem with my mask? And Hux is like, no, sir. And the other person's like, I like it. And
it was like, actually kind of funny.
It was hilarious, but like, it's like, do people just like think that Kylo Ren is a ridiculous person?
Yeah.
It just like made me just like question my sanity at that moment.
Yeah.
But then I love that they like, okay, so then we have the Resistance. We go back to the Resistance, and oh boy, Rey's training. They told us this in the crawl. We could have skipped this whole montage. She could have just gotten back from training. We didn't actually need to see her actually train. But except, remember that this movie needs to tell and show, because people don't pay attention.
Exactly. Yeah.
No other Star Wars movie has done as much show and tell. Show and tell is for people who don't, I don't know, feel movies.
But don't you feel though that like JJ was trying to correct the criticisms that people had for his first film by doing that? And it makes me wonder, JJ doesn't do this in other movies, not necessarily so. The fact that like he wrote TFA as mostly showing and not telling. And whenever he did this, I felt like it was such a flippant, like, here you go. This is what you wanted. This is what you criticized me for. Here it
like
is.
He was trying to fix the trilogy for certain people.
Yeah.
And I will get into that later, but I want to finish walking this movie a little bit because I think it's important. It's important for me to talk and laugh at some of the ridiculousness. So, there is something magical about Rey's outfit. This is now my headcanon because every time she gets dirty, her outfit is immediately clean.
Yeah.
They didn't care about internal consistency of costuming.
No.
Her outfit goes from falling into the mud, going through a sinking sand pit, which existed on Jakku and now exists on Pisana. Cool. A sinking sand pit, not dirty. Next scene, clean as the bright white sheets that expelled all the soap. She is pure. She is a pure human.
She's an angel.
She's an angel girl.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
We'll get into that too.
Oh, yes. No, but this was done very, very purposefully.
Yeah, they even covered up her scar and they never talked about it.
Yep. She is a pure angel.
Mm-hmm. And then Leia is there to guide her, to show her the way, to be the matriarch and give her the wisdom from her side of things, because Luke gave her the wisdom, I guess, prior or whatever. But never mind. That all this happens in the same film.
We're gonna get to that in the end. I'm gonna talk about how J.J. Abrams may well have been a Luke and Leia shipper.
Yeah.
Okay. So she was training, and Poe and Finn, who are the gallant men who have been out in the universe, and they expressed to her their disappointment that she has not joined them on their adventure because she is the best fighter they have.
Yeah.
Okay. You're telling me that in the year, which this overwrites the Rise of the Resistance, by the way. This overwrites the Rise of the Resistance. This overwrites this movie breaks levels of canon that have been years in the making.
Yeah.
This movie breaks levels of storytelling, levels of Force understanding, levels of the myth that it breaks with.
And this is recent. It's not breaking.
Yeah, Rise of the Resistance literally came out last month. Yeah. And it said that they were able to call their allies, and I guess that's all that they were able to get was on this other planet, which I don't even know the name of, and I don't even know what it looks like. I don't even know why it was important other than it's a jungle world, because we never got a pan-in shot to see what it looks like. We got to see Rey running through the jungle.
Was that supposed to be Batu?
No, I don't think so.
There was the ribbon in the tree.
Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody with the Tross dictionary needs to tell us.
Yeah, I don't know. I did like how Kylo's like connecting with her and it like messes her up. All of the Kylo and Rey moments I will accept as like absolute amazingness out of this, because they have some like even though Leia regressed, she's back in her buns and like he in her white outfit and like he's in his stupid mask again and like
So the thing that happens next, I guess, is like when he takes the mask out and puts it on the pedestal. Why did that happen? If he found out that...
I don't think it mattered.
He literally, like, just found out that it was never Vader's voice.
Yeah.
Why is it like didn't somebody call it like a shrine?
Yeah, it was like a shrine, yeah. He took it out from where it was safely kept in the closet and he put it on a pedestal. Why? your grandfather has never spoken to you and given you purpose.
Yeah.
You have lost all of your purpose that you Why aren't you more depressed, Kylo? That's weird. Okay.
TLJ Kylo would have destroyed it. I don't understand. Like, it probably would have made more sense if he would have destroyed that mask and then reforged his own.
Yeah.
Kind of saying like, oh no, I am Kylo Ren. I am not.
I am the supreme leader. I am not now Darth Vader. I am past Darth Vader. Yeah, that would have been cool. Or he took it from the shrine and put it into the thing, like put it away. That would have been more significant. I don't want to build the movie as it should have been yet. I have years to write the movie as it should have been. I am just accepting the movie as it is now.
I'm trying to understand why certain choices were made.
It's so not weird. Let's not ask why. My husband often reminds me that why questions make people defensive. But we should say, what emotional significance did putting the mask on the pedestal mean for our character?
That he still wanted to be like Darth Vader.
Yeah, I guess.
Like that's the only thing I can think of. I'm sure other people have other opinions, but...
symbolically, it says to me... And this was entirely unintentional. So this is like one of those moments of brilliance that like is unintentional. J.J. Abrams probably didn't intend it, but it happened anyways. Symbolically, it's saying he is still a slave.
Yeah.
Just like Vader is.
Yeah.
But it was unintentional, so...
It was unintentional. Yeah, that's an inference.
I guess
that's not
I will... I will acknowledge the unintentional brilliance in the room.
Sure. Yeah, we have to acknowledge it because that is something that's a part of the myth. Like that is something
red
important.
String of fate. Mm-hmm. She cuts the string just as she starts to have her connection reform. He uses the mask as meditation to reforge his connection as his strength, which is Darth Vader, to her. Mm-hmm. He starts to basically push through whatever they've blocked out of their bond because they haven't been talking in the year. That is something that we, I think, can assume from the materials and from the movie and everything like that. They haven't been talking, and so he's reforging that connection with her, breaking through whatever, and the red string of fate is there. So JJ, as much as you say this, it's not there. You literally made them soulmates, a dyad in the Force. They are the red string of fate. Yeah. Okay. So she's back. She's talking to Leia. She's disappointed with herself because she hasn't earned Luke's lightsaber.
I hated that they put that in there. That really, like, I'm not worthy of this. Like, are you kidding me? Like, everything that happened in the previous film? Seriously?
In TFA, because it is not a matter of TFA when she calls to the lightsaber and it comes to her hand means she is worthy.
Yeah.
This lightsaber does not go to people who aren't worthy. We know that in the previous movie in TFA, not just this movie, not just TLJ. She was worthy before. She's always been worthy. She's always been a compassionate person.
I just realized that was another one of the things that a lot of the people criticized was that the lightsaber shouldn't have gone to her.
Yep. So this is another...
It's like another correction.
Recorrection.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, but if Leia gives it to her.
But in the end, unintentionally brilliant, Leia disagrees with her leaving, and she leaves anyways, taking the lightsaber.
But doesn't she... But she gives it to her, though. She's like...
Yeah, but she's like, I'm leaving anyways, so you might as well take it, I guess.
Yeah. It also
I am laughing for fear of crying. Sorry.
Yeah, please continue. I don't want you to cry. It also corrects the part where Rey left with Luke's saber when she was fighting with him on Ahch-To, and she goes to almost kill him with her saber, and she stops, and then she leaves with it, and then she doesn't see him again. A lot of people complained about that too. So
I didn't look at people's complaints, so thank you for letting me know how much this movie is placating a certain group of the fandom. Yeah. So Finn and Poe, but she's like, they get the signal from the spy or whatever, Finn and Poe return with the message from the spy. Literally, we didn't need to see any of that stuff before this, but that was not the movie that we got. Finn and Poe are friends, and Poe is got some shadiness just introduced now. He's never been a non-shady person until this moment, but now he is, so we have to accept that. And Finn really wants to tell Rey something.
I thought that was so weird. I didn't
really, and so she's like, I'm going to go on this mission. It's going to be good. I'm going to go with Chewie. We're going to make it happen. And Finn and Poe are like, no, we're coming too. And C-3PO's like, I guess I'm coming. Okay, cool. So they jump aboard the Falcon. They're like, we're going to go chase down this thing because Luke actually was writing in the books. I thought he was illiterate.
Oh, that was so weird too. When she was like, she goes to the books to find out. That's where she learns about Exegol.
Yep.
And which is like kind of weird because I thought the whole
everybody knows about the Sith. Everybody has had the most amazing historic, like, I think the New Republic introduced very comprehensive education galactic wide. Because everybody knew about the Sith, where nobody knew that Darth Vader was Leia's father.
Oh my God, yeah.
So no one knew, including Ben Solo, that Leia was Darth Vader's daughter. But now everybody knows about the Sith, every detail.
Yeah. And exposition.
Everybody knows.
Yeah. They're all talking about it. And yeah, no, that was very strange. That was very, very strange.
So the mysteries of the Sith were like, was there a Sith museum? No, I think there was. There must have been a Sith museum. But, how does Rose know about the Sith museum?
Yeah. It was so weird. This
just doesn't align with what I know of Sith.
It was very awkward for Rey to say, oh, I know, like, that sounds familiar. Let me go open up my Jedi books. Oh, look, there's more here. Like, that was...
She Googled it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was almost like she had, like, jumped on the computer and looked it up. Like, it just didn't feel like Star Wars. Like, what else was she doing with these books? Like, why did they even matter? Because, like, the whole thing about TLJ was they didn't
two, there are a master and an apprentice, except for all of these acolytes and all of this army.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. I'm done with that part. Okay, so they go to Pazana, and we find out that, somehow the First Order finds out that that the scavenger is on Pazana because Kylo's like, I'm gonna go kill the scavenger, blah, and Hux is like, you want us to like kill the planet because we have that technology, and Kylo has the best moment. It's so Han Solo, even though he's wearing the mask, and he puts up his finger and is like, don't you kill my girlfriend, you ass. I love Kylo so much. Even at his most absolute extreme extra, which he totally is, because he's having an emotional crisis, you can tell, throughout the first half of this movie when he's wearing his mask. He's trying to hide again from his feelings.
Yep.
They show up at Pazana, and this is the hardest part of the whole movie because it mirrors aspects of... It mirrors aspects of Kurosawa's Hidden Fortress in that they go to the festival and learn the meaning of life.
And it was a fire festival. And there was when
and it happens once every 42 years. Just like the saga. Like, let's look at the camera. Did you get that, guys? Did you get that joke? You guys who have been fans for 42 years, thanks for coming out and giving us your money.
Yeah.
Okay. I loved the festival. Actually, I thought it was really cool. I thought the setting, I thought the idea that it's like a life festival, that it's like this rebirth, it had all of these aspects. The children in the thing now in hindsight with the ending of the movie feels like a slap in the face.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Several moments throughout the festival itself, Rey looks at children. She looks at a baby. She looks at children in school. And then she looks at the child who gives her the necklace with the family of little icons on the necklace.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And this is when she force connects with Kylo, her family, her true family, after she's given the necklace. And he's like, I know who you truly are. I know the truth. And she's like, oh, you. And then he grabs the necklace, which was actually sexy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so they show like that they got it analyzed or whatever. I thought it was really kind of weird that like he had somebody else go and analyze it. Like, I thought it was weird that like somebody else was carrying it. That's something that actually stood out to me in the theater. I was like, why are they doing this whole thing where they say like these two people are the main part? Like they say these two people are everything, but yet we're filling all of the space with like anybody else but them.
Like I would have accepted him going because he's a smart, educated boy. Pazana.
Yeah.
Like he could have just said that and it would have cut immediately to, I know where she is.
Yeah, you know? But instead you had this whole, like, we've analyzed the necklace. And then somebody else that we've never met comes up to him and has the necklace in their hand. It's like, well, that kind of just makes the previous scene feel a little different. You know, like it just
he hasn't talked to her in a year. Like, how does he know she hasn't that she's even on Pazana with that necklace?
Yeah, maybe this is her new thing.
Maybe she just really liked that. She picked it up like 6 months ago.
Yeah. That was really weird.
Don't look too closely. Don't look too closely at this movie.
Yeah.
If you just ride the wave, and we'll get to that eventually later on, if you just ride the like stuff that you like, the movie will be fine. It's
fine. Yeah.
It's fine. So don't look too close. Don't examine this movie too closely. You will go crazy.
So there was also whenever the Force connection switched from when they actually connected, it switched from day to night.
Oh, yeah. That was interesting.
That was really weird. And then also the canisters that blew yellow powder were blowing fire. It happened.
Oh.
Yeah, it happened only during the Force Connect.
What?
It was so weird, and I didn't understand why, because I felt like it was supposed to have some kind of symbolism, but I think it was only done for spectacle, because he was in a snowy place, and he wanted them to have, and it was at night. Or no, wasn't it?
No, he was in his room. He was in his ship. He was in his room. Yeah, so he was in his quarters.
Yeah, that was when she hit the. That was when she hit the jar and like all the red beads fell on the ground, or was that later?
No, that's later on.
See, it's confusing me because that Force Connect it changed the. I don't know why they did that. It made it from day to night, and it made it fire instead of yellow powder.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't get it. That's why I'm confusing them, because the next one is also at nighttime, and there's like...
Yeah, that seemed weird. It was an odd choice. They could have kept it. Maybe that original Force Connect happened actually at night, and there was more time that had passed, and then they had to like fit that in somehow.
I don't know. Because then right after that, like, that's when he finds out where she is, and then they hear the
he's like, well, me and my knights are gonna go and fight them and find them and drag her back, blah. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Maybe a day was supposed to pass, and maybe they spent more time there or something. That would have been interesting. But yeah, no, right after that, like, they go... and Lando shows up, basically.
Hello, Deus Ex Machina. Oh, no. Leia called me. Okay, cool. So Leia called him, and I'm okay with that, because there have been worse things that have ever happened in Star Wars I showed up at the right time.
Yes. Yeah, I could have accepted this easily.
This is fine, yeah. So... they're like walking through the crowd, and Chewie's like having to hunch down, which is hilarious.
It was so cute.
So cute. And there's so many things I loved about the fire. I wanted to stay at the Fire Festival for like an hour. I wanted them to I think they danced at the Fire Festival originally, and they cut it.
Ugh.
You know?
That's what I was going to say. It has no meaning. Like, why go to this thing? And like, I love how you keep calling it the Fire Festival when the only time we saw fire was when it dips into the Force Connect.
Oh, was it the Festival of Life, or what did C-3PO call it?
Something like that. But regardless, there was no fire, but it was the puffs of color, which ends up becoming a thing when they're on the chase.
There is symbolism baked into this. It's a festival probably for rebirth. There's butterfly kites, which were beautiful. There's a concept of life and community in this. It is the most alive place in this movie.
Yeah, but it doesn't foreshadow anything. There's nothing that happens later.
It doesn't mean anything for our characters.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, who has a birth?
And
who has
thus
a rebirth?
I am left empty.
Yeah.
Kylo technically has a rebirth.
Yeah, but then he dies.
Yeah, I know.
So then there's no hope for children, which were also in that same scene. So thematically, it breaks apart.
Yeah.
And that's every conversation I'm ever going to have about this film.
Yes, that is literally like, they did this and then they did this, which would have been cool, but then they did this, and thus thematically it breaks apart.
Exactly.
Okay. So then they realize they're there for the ship, or this is because the Jedi Hunter.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
The Jedi Hunter that worked for Palpatine after Palpatine was supposedly killed in The Last Jedi. Don't look at this movie too closely. Is out there for some reason. And so they're trying to find clues on an entire planet. They run into Lando, who gives them the piece of information. Oh yeah, it's over there. Lando's like, I gotta go. I'm too old for this. I don't really want to fly anymore. Okay. Bye. Thanks, Lando, for the taxi lift.
Yeah. Yeah, the coverage while the troopers were chasing them.
Yeah. And then they hotwire some speeders because the First Order has shown up, because the First Order is everywhere. Mm-hmm. We do get that impression the First Order is everywhere. That's something that's
important.
It's internally consistent within the movie itself, too. And why the ending doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In the end. So that's important. The First Order is literally everywhere in the galaxy. Okay.
Yeah.
So they hotwire some ships. Finn points out very pointedly, "You're hotwiring a shift. That's very shifty of you. I've never noticed you can hotwire stuff before." Okay. They are chased by cool bikes / jetpacks. They run out into the desert. They get rid of those people.
Yeah. And then Rey sees the ship. It was cool. The ship. Yeah. Rey sees the ship. She thinks that ship is familiar. There's something weird. That's when her whole her memory starts to get triggered by it.
And then they fall into the sinking fields.
Which are, I guess...
I mean, it's technically... Okay, so I'm going to try to glean some symbolism off of this. Unintentional symbolism. She falls into her own subconscious a little bit.
Yeah.
In that she recognizes the ships and immediately falls into her darkness.
And her past.
And the past.
Yeah.
And her past. And... They fall into these tunnels, manage to come back together, and are faced with the giant snake.
Yeah.
Which is called a worm from some people's perspectives. I would like to know what it's called in the visual dictionary eventually.
Yeah.
The snake is very scary. They want to Poe wants to kill the worm.
Rey.
Finn is like, just trust Rey.
Yeah.
It's very much angel devil situation in this moment. This moment is so interesting. Rey steps forward. I'm not afraid of the monster.
Yeah.
And she heals the wounded animal. And this ties to Aesop's fables, healing the lion and then getting a gift from the lion.
Yep.
What did the worm give her but the way out?
Yeah. The worm could have moved out of the way and exposed the dagger. The worm could have moved out of the way and exposed something that led them to what their original goal was or something like that. But instead it was just
Yeah. Did they get the dagger before that?
Yeah.
They got the dagger before that. Okay. And so they found the dagger, and then there was
C-3PO does his whole, like, I can't tell you what it means, even though I can read it. I can't translate it.
That was the worst. I don't want to tell you the plot because of exposition reason.
Yeah. There were parts of it that were
the
funny.
The New Republic says I can't.
Yeah, there were parts of it that were kind of funny, but then they kept... It was like, I'm like trying to listen, but trying to laugh at the same time, because I'm like, wait, what? Like, why? And then as I'm still trying to understand, I'm like, oh, something's about to happen, because he was like moving away from them and backing up into the darkness, and I'm like, okay, something's gonna happen now.
And he called it a Sith hex, Sith, like the Sith symbol. What is that called?
I think he did call it a hex. That was strange to me too, because they changed the. This happened. How many months ago? Like when they came out with a new Sith symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a little weird. I thought that was a little okay. Why? Like why new Sith? And I thought maybe something was important.
I think it was trying to do like. So I have some theories about what, like, because Palpatine's like, this isn't the First Order, this is the Final Order, this is like the Third Reich type feel, right? Like that's what they were trying to do. Like the symbol itself is in a circle that is popped up from the speeder, so it looks like the swastika.
Yeah, it does look more swastika-y because it's a little simpler than the original Sith symbol.
Yeah.
Which I think I respected that when I first saw it, because I thought, oh, it's more simple, it's more simplified, like it is more swastika type, like and that way they can distinguish the First Order from the Sith, because the First Order is I thought, oh, redeemable, like they can be saved, they're just lost, But this didn't. Nothing that happens from here on out is going to say that.
Yeah. So we learned that this Ochi was the name of the character. We got actually a lot of exposition for him, interestingly.
It was so much. I was like, what the? Like, it was so much I could not keep up with it. Ochi? Who is Ochi? I don't understand.
Ochi is the person that killed her parents.
And why did we know his name? How do we know his name? I was so confused about that. Because then all of a sudden everybody starts using his name, and I was like, wait, we know his name?
There was a flash up of him, and Poe was explaining the information that they found.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not
I hate
well
that
done.
kind of exposition, because I usually tune it out when that sort of thing happens.
Yeah, no, everybody knows about Ochi now. Ochi Chronicles. I want to know who this Jedi Hunter is, because Kylo was never a Jedi Hunter. The true Jedi Hunter was Ochi all along.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord.
Right?
Oh, wow. There's so much lost potential there. Oh, goodness.
No, he's the Jedi Hunter.
I picked up on that part.
No. But Kylo is the Jedi Hunter in the first visual dictionary for TFA. And now he is no longer the Jedi Hunter. Ochi is.
Yeah.
Ochi had an arm wrestling match with him and stole his title.
Obviously.
That makes just as much sense. All right.
Yep.
So they get into his ship. They're like, oh, what can we find? They find Dio, which is voiced by J.J. Abrams, even against his will.
Really?
Yes.
What do you mean against his will?
So the story is that he voiced the character so that they could at least get a feel for, what they should be looking for when they get in a voice actor.
Yeah.
And they tried tons of voice actors, but they appreciated the ADR team appreciated J.J. Abrams' reading and how he says sorry and the way he does it.
Yeah.
So much that they kept him against his will. They were like, we don't like anybody else but you. And he's like, fine.
Oh, okay. Then I accept that. Because I loved Dio. I loved
Dio too. Yeah.
It felt like
weird.
It felt like BB-8 adopted a pet. And I thought that was so sweet. And I thought, or like had a baby. Like we suspected that BB-8.
Yeah.
Which it kind of was
Dio
like
is
that.
fixed because a little bit of BB-8 was transferred to Dio.
Yeah, from the rest of the film, that was the theme. So that would be, that makes sense. And I liked that. I thought that was so sweet. And that was such a good way to incorporate like the plight of the droids in a way of showing an abused droid. That was so cool. But, and that was something that was like,
was meant to be because of what happened symbolically. Dio was probably meant to be a parallel to Ben.
Yeah. And now I'm sad.
An abused person who was in the midst of a trapped dark side place that has a second life through the love and the care of others.
And now I'm even more sad.
I'm just going to tell you that had another purpose at some point in the scripting or the decision making. Okay. Rey can sense Kylo is coming for her. So she walks out into the middle of the desert, and we have the confrontation with the TIE Whisperer.
Can I just say that this part frustrated me to no end because, again, we are not allowed to breathe. That first clip that was released, that first teaser, allowed us to breathe.
Just breathe.
And
I don't want you to.
Because I'm concerned about Chewie, and I'm concerned about Finn, and I'm concerned about these clone troopers and the Knights of Ren, and like literally there was so much going on. How am I supposed to how? And then immediately after that was more tension? Are you kidding me?
This movie is a vat of packing peanuts. Colorful, filling to the point of being filled with stimuli and colors, but no substance.
No substance.
No substance. It's not even the bones without the marrow. It's that saying, bones no meat. No, it's bones no marrow. It exists, and we get stimuli, we get content, we get, people have referred to it as video game-y in that how fast paced it is and how it clips by and doesn't allow you to process things, emotionally connect with characters, feel what they're feeling. The horror that Rey experiences in the moments is glossed over. And that's purposeful. And I'm going to get to that later.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about the fight between the two of them with the transport ship. That was taking a moment from The Last Jedi that everybody loved. Like, no one disagreed with that. Like, everyone loved the fact that Ben and Rey fought over the saber in The Last Jedi. And then JJ decides, I'm going to take, and he does. He takes like everything that we loved about The Last Jedi and he puts it in Tross.
Yes.
And this is one of them. And they literally do the exact same thing in fighting over the transport, except
and it blows up.
It blows up. Yeah. And it's the same thing. And like, what's going to happen because you've seen it happen before. And it was supposed to
it's supposed to parallel, but it falls flat.
It falls flat because
and even though, and then they're like, oh, Chewie, like nothing matters because they either fix or they change or they adjust. It was like, oh, wow, she killed Chewie. That would have been powerful. But then they're like, no, Chewie's not dead.
Yeah. Don't even, that's such a cheap trick. And I'm glad I knew about it before I went into the film. But the part where Kylo says, I pushed you because I needed you to see it.
Oh.
That made me so mad because I was like, he would not.
But why?
Do that.
Why did that make you mad?
Because
he wouldn't have done that to her.
He wouldn't have done that to her. He would have done that
character
against himself, maybe. I think Kylo in The Last Jedi was always and in TFA, he was always pushing himself to his limit. He was always like
no, he did that.
Her.
So no, this is a reflection of The Last Jedi as well. This is a reflection of the shirtless scene. This is a reflection of Kylo telling her inconvenient truths and trying to push her. So this is a shadow of that. Okay, so
but there are other people who are being killed that are in the middle of this. That's what changes it.
Yes, no, but it makes him seem like he's sadistic.
Yes.
Okay, so okay, I don't think he. I don't. Thanks.
He allowed her to kill people. He allowed her to kill like innocent people. To show
your brain is gonna gloss over that unless you want to pull meaning from that.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna get to that.
Exactly. I understand that his attitude was the same, and I understand all that, but he let her kill innocent people.
He let her kill his uncle, who I'm sure he still cared about. Cool.
He let her kill his uncle?
Yes. Chewie.
Oh, Chewie's his uncle?
Yes. Chewie is Ben Solo, Chewbacca.
I was like confused. I thought you were talking about Luke, and I'm like, what?
No, but like,
but yes,
Lando and sense. Chewie and Luke
are all his
are all his uncles.
Yeah,
this is the found family that we established in the original trilogy, which spits in the face of loving others through their mistakes. No one loved Ben Solo but Rey.
Yeah. That it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
And
that's the only comfort that we kind of have. And that's the only thing that is keeping me from breaking down is that
the ridiculousness of that, that Luke loved him. Luke loved him, when he died enough to say, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Are you here? I'm sorry. Luke loved him when he died, and now he no longer loves him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything and we'll get to that, everything that was a part of Ben has been transferred to Rey. It's the last thing that anybody, would have thought was going to happen. No one thought this was going to happen, and that's such a cruel
I'm going to tell you about the Leia thing, and it's going to make me cry again later. Okay, I'm going to get through this podcast if it kills me. I need to get this out. I'm sorry that you have to listen to me go through this, but I've been holding it in for the week, and it's just... And I didn't mean to do this on the podcast. I wanted to be a rational human, but there's so much. And I will be able to look on this differently in the future, but you're getting the raw me right now. Okay, so she uses the Force lightning. She's obviously scared of her own powers. She tries to talk to it with Finn. The lines are changed. There's a few moments where we heard lines in the trailers, and now they are different.
Yeah.
No one understands me, or I'm something. I'm afraid no one does.
Yeah.
Everyone says they understand me. I'm afraid no one does.
Yeah.
That's the change.
Yeah.
No one does. I do. He does. He does understand her. Does he? He loves her. That's the most important thing.
Which he never got to say. So, whatever.
He said it with his eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Finn's like, but talk to me. And she's like, nah. Because she doesn't trust anyone but herself. Because she's still alone.
Yeah. But she just feels alone. Oh, God.
Yeah. Anyways, so we move on. And we have she's dealing with the grief of loss of her surrogate father, Chewbacca. And they're like, what do we do now? We don't know what to do. And exposition.
Yeah.
If only we could get what is in my mind out and actually make meaning of it.
Mm-hmm.
This thing that is locked away for no particular reason other than plot convenience, to bring in Carrie Russell, because J.J. Abrams, like my friend Carrie Russell, enough to build a planet for Carrie Russell to have existed on.
Oh, it was correcting something else.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, good. So, we're smart enough to notice all the corrections. That's good. I'm not smart right now.
That's fine. So another one of the criticisms from TFA was that we didn't care about the people who were destroyed on that one planet, or on the Hosnian system.
Yeah.
That was the whole system. And originally he had cut that scene with Leia and the woman. This is where we get all of our Leia footage now. But the woman who ends up being kind of like an ambassador, and then she goes to that planet.
Corcella.
Yeah. And then she gets blown up because she ends up going there. And that's like one of the things that like it was supposed to help us mourn for that planet. But because of like, so it's what's funny about this is this was actually corrected in the Resistance show.
Yeah, because Kaz was from
the Hosnian system.
Hosnian system, and he got to witness it, and we got to witness it through his eyes.
Yeah. So JJ doesn't
corrected
care about
it
that. Corrected his own mistake in his own movie by
Lord.
But and that's forgive me if I'm wrong, but isn't that the only time we see an entire planet blown up in Tross?
Yes.
There you go. It's a correction.
It's a correction of TFA.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
So they go to this planet and they meet
Zori.
Zori Bliss.
It's a cool. Oh, this planet is so cool looking, and there's lots of cool stuff that happens.
Oh, the children screaming
segment. The children screaming, being taken by the First Order, which is like their thing.
Yeah.
And we get to meet Babu Frick. We get the cool cantina, the music created by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yep.
John Williams is the bartender. He's got his one eye covered, so I guess that's the Cyclops.
Oh, I didn't see that. Wow.
Yeah, no, I freaked out. I was like, the maestro. So John Williams couldn't even compose the music for the scene that he is cameoing in. Yeah.
That's weird. That is weird.
Cool.
It was
Thanks.
so. I literally don't even remember I don't even remember that part. And I don't remember.
They walk through it. It was very, very quick. It was like the cantina scene in TFA, which I do love. And I did like. There's really interesting things, but it flashes so quickly that you can't even process it. Like you'd have to go and like go frame by frame to see all of the things, which is not the way you're supposed to digest Star Wars.
No, Star Wars has never been that fast. It's too much. I was probably trying to breathe in that moment, and I looked away.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It's like you need a moment. And then we get to meet Babu Frick. We actually get long moments with Babu Frick, and I think that that's why he is resonating with people, right? Because we get long moments with this scene because JJ felt that the threat of losing C-3PO's memories was emotionally impactful. And yes, it was, because it's kind of like saying, well, this is going to end.
Yeah.
There is an end to this. And even though C-3PO is, this could have actually meant something and it didn't.
Yeah.
First and foremost, shame on the writing for not understanding that a droid losing their memories is one of the more horrific things that somebody can go through.
Yeah.
Amazing on Anthony Daniels for playing it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that script capturing that moment, but Poe and Finn and Rey not bearing the emotional weight of what was being requested of the audience. We have seen this happen before to C-3PO, and it was horrifying.
Yeah.
So I was prepared for the concept that C-3PO would never be the same again, much like us after this movie. And instead of allowing that to happen and for us to grieve the loss of C-3PO, much like through grieving the loss of maybe the saga or the Skywalker line or whatever, identifying with the fact that now C-3PO is never going to be the same, he fixed it.
Yeah. That was such a...
Later on.
Yeah.
Okay. That was also a play on C-3PO having a red arm and then being fixed later on. Like it's...
Yeah.
C-3PO must remain whole, but C-3PO represents Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. It doesn't really fit. Like, period. So Zori offers them Bobby Frick was great, by the way. I love Bobby Frick. He was hysterical.
He's hysterical, cute. I want a Babu Frick puppet.
Yeah,
like,
he was so cute.
He can move in and live with me forever.
Yeah,
it's really funny that all of the creators that I see online are like, but Babu Frick. It's like, yes,
but Babu
that's
Frick.
what we're taking out. I guess that's what we're taking out of this.
It's like literally the only character that was added by JJ that I actually enjoyed. Fine, like Zori Bliss is fine, but I thought that
Janna was good. I have a lot of love for what they did with Janna. They could have given her more time, but then they ended up sacrificing. I'm gonna talk about character space a little bit, I think, because we didn't need to add more characters, but we did.
Yeah.
So that's not something that any of the other movies from a trilogy ending perspective has done, is add new characters for the sake of the story. And that's also an exposition problem. They needed to add characters to create exposition. And that ends up filling up the space rather than closing the narrative of the characters we already have in motion. They added more characters to try to solve the problems of the movie.
But they created more problems adding these characters because
Yes, no, but that's the problem. Like they internally, the movie tries to solve the problems that it makes and it fails.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
There is some moments of brilliance in this. So Rose being underutilized is garbage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
Rose, are you coming with us? No, I'm going to study old specs because that's what Leia wants me to do.
Yeah.
Have fun on your adventure.
Yeah. No.
She still ends up saving Finn and Janna in the end, like a brilliant Rose that she is. So she is still the savior of Finn to his dying day twice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so they're on the planet. The whole stuff with Zori and Poe happens where they're talking about their past, and Poe got so much screen time. It's so funny.
Oh my God.
And Zori's like, hey, buddy, you want to come and run away with me? And he's like, nah, I gotta save the galaxy.
That was so weird because I do wonder if he got more screen time than Ben.
He did.
There was definitely more lines for sure. Yeah. I guess he did get more screen time because somebody pointed out that Rey and Poe have become the son and daughter of Luke and Leia. In a weird way.
Yeah.
It's just so strange. But I
question whether in this movie there is a difference between Finn and Poe.
Nah.
And whether we needed both of them.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that.
Yeah.
Because making them co-generals in the end is like saying there is no difference between these characters.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like co-generals? Co-generals. I laughed out loud at that scene. Oh God, I was probably really annoying in the audience.
You are very annoying to watch a movie with.
Thank you.
No, but
I feel all the things at the wrong time because I see things in the wrong way, I guess.
Yeah, in the metatextual way, which is not wrong, but okay. So they talk about the kids getting taken by First Order. We talked about that. She gives him the way off the planet, basically, so that they can keep going. And that's pretty much that keeps happening. They keep giving ways to keep going, and
moving the this was and then again, I really do hate referring to this movie as a video game, but this is the video game structure, which is kind of like Myst or any sort of puzzle game, to the puzzle pieces. These are puzzle pieces they are picking up along the way that allows them to unlock the next room and then discard it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's written I need this to go to this. I need this to go to this.
Yep.
I need this to go to this. Because there is an assumption that the viewer can't retain information between the start and the end of the movie.
Yeah. It's an immediate problem that needs to be solved now. Yeah. So that's when they go.
No, so they get the information from.
I'm trying to remember.
From C-3PO. His eyes turn red for some reason, which was
that's right.
not required, but cool. I guess Sith language automatically makes you evil for a moment or something. And then he's reset and he's like, hello, I'm C-3PO. And it was very cute. And then Babu was like, I'm Babu Frick. And there's like, my eldest friend. Like that was just a little nugget of gold that I'm going to just keep in my pocket for forever.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I take it completely out of the movie and I store it in my brain, in my little piggy bank of things I will be taking home from this movie, including how hot Adam Driver is and how he is legitimately the hottest man in Star Wars.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Okay. Rey senses Chewie is alive on the Star Destroyer that is in atmosphere, which mirrors Rogue One.
Right.
Cool. So she...
It's when they realize they have to go get Chewie off the Star Destroyer.
Yes, they all go into Ochi's ship.
Yeah.
Because we know more about Ochi than anybody else now.
Yeah.
And they jump into Ochi's ship and they go to the Star Destroyer. They have the medal, the thing they just unlocked to unlock the next room to go into the Star Destroyer.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
That I can connect the dots because it's a connect the dots.
Mm-hmm. Because it's shown and told to me.
Shown and told to me. Thank you. They show up. The Star Destroyer is cool. Like there's so much like visual storytelling being done with the First Order that I really do appreciate, and I'm looking forward to talking about in the future once I can numb my brain enough to get what I need to get out of this movie.
Yeah.
Again, you're getting kind of unfiltered me. Sorry. I love that people love this movie, but there are things that this movie that will innately grate me for the end of time.
Yep.
I accept it as part of Star Wars, and I will take home what I need to take home from this movie.
Yeah.
So they go to the ship. They arrive. It's so cool. We get her using the Force like mind trick, and then pose one line. But we don't get to stay on the horror of the idea that she might have been controlling them the whole way along, and that she actually has the power to control people as much as she wants. From Poe's reaction, does she use this on us? We don't get to stay on that moment, and I feel like that was a missed opportunity in the smallest sense of the word, because there was many missed opportunities in this movie.
Yeah.
But that in and of itself, that joke, we didn't get to laugh with them.
Yeah,
we didn't get to feel that, right? She senses the dagger. She goes off in one direction. They go off in the other to find Chewbacca. It is fine. They find Chewie. Chewie's like, where's Rey? And they're like, she's with us. Cool. Let's talk about the fact that Rey gets to hang out in Kylo's quarters. Did she look in his underwear drawer?
I know, right? I kept thinking that when she was there. I'm like, she's not even going to look at the bed. Like, she's not even going to...
Missed opportunity. I wanted to see what Kylo's bed looked like now that he was Supreme Leader. Does he have a king-sized and not a bed that is too small for his body anymore? Does he have a Supreme Leader sized? No?
Missed opportunity.
So she's there, and then she's like touching the dagger, and Kylo's now on the planet, which is really funny because he like went down there.
She went up. Yeah, that was kind of funny.
I enjoyed the irony of that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to take all the joy from the rest of the movie and just like keep it into my piggy bank.
Yeah.
That was joy. And then they're like talking and he's like, so where are you? Which this is where it starts to get super sexy.
Yeah.
Like, because she's in his quarters and he's not. And he's like, so, hey, what's going on? And I know all the things. And then they end up fighting, and there's these like really cool moments that is set up like fan fiction for years to come.
Yeah.
Where like she slices through something in his environment and it's filled with the things from that environment. And then they slice through something in her environment and it drops into his environment.
Yep.
So literally they could make out, have sex exist together in the Force.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is what this scene is saying, because fights in Star Wars are a resolution of feelings.
Yeah. I love the fact that like
every time they fight through the Force, it's like hate sex.
Yes.
I don't know.
If that's the way we want to reconcile all of the fight scenes that happened in this movie when they otherwise could have been talking, then yeah, sure, we'll go with that. So this was another weird thing to me because remember, no, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm just going to say what we got. What we got was Kylo putting all these artifacts up on a shelf, like kind of as like,
and
weird
he considered
mementos.
Ben Solo, he considered Chewbacca's bandolier and stuff sacred.
Yes, and he put those up as well. And remember the JJ thing where he had put the ashes of his enemies in a pit or whatever, like in a little pet thing? It goes totally counter to that. Totally counter to that. So I don't know what that means, but it feels like, again, nothing really has any meaning thematically to JJ. He just does what looks cool. Because then when the fight takes place and she slices open the jar of like berries or beads or whatever that is, they're red, and they spill onto the ground in her space, which is covered in white. And it reminded me of the salt on Crate and the red on Crate. And again, I was like, is he really taking imagery from The Last Jedi to pull meaning into something that otherwise would have no meaning? Yep. And it's done in a way that
what did you guys like about The Last Jedi? Oh, you liked this moment because of the thematic elements? I can make that happen again. Yeah. That's why his room is white, which literally, like, Kylo hates the color white.
It's been black this whole time, and all of a sudden it's white. It makes no sense.
It's weird. All right.
So anyway.
Then they slice the... Then they slice the shrine where he had gently placed Darth Vader's helmet on. And then he's like, wait, she's in my quarters. I'll come and talk to you.
Because he sees the helmet fall to the ground.
Did he pick it up?
No.
Did he leave it on the planet?
I don't think... No, because the red things that fell in his quarters, they didn't stay there. In the next shot, it was a zoom out shot, and those red things are no longer on the floor. So I don't think that anything that falls into the Force connection doesn't stay there. Those things stay
except for I mean, okay, so I don't want to get too deep. I'm not going to dig too deeply into this one because that's not true. Maybe
from what though?
From TLJ. I guess he's just changing that. That's fine. Whatever.
Oh,
okay.
The water thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's temporary. It's there, but it's not there because it's like it's happening. It's happening for their senses, not for permanence. You know, like they sense.
It's like they've
those
pulled.
things.
So if they had had enough time, they could have pulled each other through but the lightsaber pulls.
But it's a temporary thing. It's like it's what they're feeling and what they're sensing. But for the
he
object,
uses the lightsaber later.
Oh.
I don't want to think too closely. But I'm not gonna look too closely.
No, it's fine. We can just explain it. We can explain it away just by saying that they both were stronger in the Force, therefore they made it stay. That's fine. That's fair. We can say that. It's Star Wars. But yes, but when the helmet fell on the ground, I also thought, is he going to pick it up? I thought the same thing. But then when he didn't, I just thought, okay, maybe it just fell and maybe he just saw it because... Like, I don't know. Like, it's fine.
Because magic. Because space magic. Because, yes, it is faking in space.
And that's fine.
I've said it a lot. And that's fine.
Again, like, all these things can all have excuses if they had thematic meaning, but they don't. Like, why destroy the shrine? That's something that we picked apart for so long as a fandom when it happened in the trailer. Like... Who was destroying the shrine? Were they destroying it together? You know, why did Ben look like he had to take his helmet off of his head when they did it? It was so
symbolically,
weird.
It's just the destruction of the saga.
Yeah, it was let the past die. It leaned into that in a weird way.
It is saying that, but that through this completion of this, we are destroying the legacy of Darth Vader
and replacing all of everything that happened with Rey.
Yeah.
Because everything that has ever happened now lives inside of Rey. Yuck.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah. What happens next?
So he shows up. This is the most funny thing. Okay. So Kylo has unlimited whispers.
Huh?
Because the TIE Whisper, his TIE.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Was destroyed on Pasaana. He has like a little like gumball machine that like he can pull out a new TIE Whisper and pop it out. The sneaks. No, he has unlimited TIE Whispers because literally there's another one that his TIE Whisper wasn't really special. There's 2. It's TIE Whisper 2.
That is so ridiculous.
I mean, the movie is telling me he has more than one.
Yeah.
He shows up. This scene was beautiful. Like this scene. And then we got, "You're a Palpatine," with his mask on. So here's the thing that I have some conspiracy theories about how they have changed the plot from maybe some of the filming. Because anytime that something Palpatine-y was mentioned, it was without Adam, or it was with Adam with his mask on.
Yeah.
So this could have been a late addition, and it is the thing that sits most raw with creators of Lucasfilm and fans in general. Like even fans who maybe, didn't necessarily agree with Reylo or whatever, like it still feels weird.
Yeah.
And when you try to do the math and you try to look at it really closely, it feels weirder.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into the math at this point. I'm sure the fans and comedians will make fun of this for the end of time, but this feels off. And it creates concepts and ideas and logical conclusions that we don't want to look at too closely.
So just to for anybody that likes the idea of Rey Palpatine, I just want to say, imagine it if she was a Kenobi and Kylo goes, "You're a Kenobi." That sounds ludicrous. Mm-hmm. The idea of Rey Palpatine has been a theory in the fandom for a while now. And it felt...
Yeah, like even Liam on this very podcast. And
yeah.
I watched the movie with Liam, and Liam leaned over to me, past my daughter, and said, "I was right."
Oh, God.
Liam, I'm mad at you for saying that in the movie and not waiting until after the movie. If you're listening to this podcast, I love you very much, but that was mean.
That it sucks, and it's fine. He doesn't understand it, and that's great that he likes it. And it could have worked if certain things had been in place prior to this.
No, like if they had done more to set that up, like from the beginning, I think like there's stuff that we can pull from that to say, oh, we're bigger than our lineage.
Yeah.
We can make ourselves what we want to make, and that's in the end what the movie is trying to say, but falling flat on for me emotionally. Yeah. We can find the family that we want to find regardless of what has happened, things like that. But this concept is so ham-handedly shoved into the heart of this movie that it feels wrong.
Yeah. It feels very wrong. That, going back to the line, just like, that just felt, it just contradicted everything. And even in the way that it was delivered by Adam, it just felt like they didn't know.
He was in the ADR studio.
Yeah.
He probably was pretty upset about how this had changed what he had maybe previously recorded.
Yeah.
And you can hear it in his voice, as an amazing as an actor as he is.
It just felt so wrong. And I had known going into this, and I felt like that's not the right way to do it. Even if that were to be like a thing, like Kylo Ren tells Rey her actual lineage, the way that was written and the way it was delivered, it did not sit right with me at all. But
yeah.
Anyways, so
it is. So she is a Palpatine, and that is the frame of reference by which we understand the things that she has experienced in the past, including the past vision that JJ originally gave us. Her parents actually loved her, and they loved her enough. They disagreed with Palpatine so much that I have so many questions. Like, did this child, the son, because we have to have power from men?
Yes. It was very explicitly the son of Palpatine that passed down the lineage.
Son of Palpatine. It would have been cool if it was the daughter.
Yeah, it would be way cooler. It would have been...
That would have been cool.
And there could have been this idea...
But we know that her mother loved her and that she was like... She gave her something.
Yeah.
They were willing to live in abject poverty rather than accept the dark power.
I was willing to buy this completely. Like, I was very much of a fan of Rey finding her parents and Kylo's vision to have been a misunderstanding. And I've said this before on the podcast. Like, I've been very, very willing to do that. However,
I don't
Kylo
think that
but Kylo saw an exchange. He saw an exchange of money. He believed that they were drunks. And he believed that they sold her for drinking money.
Yeah,
Why?
So that was never explained.
No, and it should have been, because it just goes so far in the face of what was said in The Last Jedi and how she was nobody and that whole premise. That's where it totally falls apart.
So I don't want to dig too deeply into that just now because I have a lot of feelings on it. But it does say something about Rey, and I want to get there eventually, and I don't know if it'll be this podcast or we're going to do more, of course, but there is something significant that this says about Rey.
In a future podcast, I'm willing to explore the meaning of this, but right now I am looking at kind of more of the meta commentary of it, because this lineage alongside Reylo doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Because I feel like if they were gonna the romantic trope here is that both of them should die. Yeah. And actually that's what my husband said, and that sucks. Yeah. If they were telling Romeo and Juliet for real, they should have gone full bore Romeo and Juliet, and we would have been mentally prepared for it. If they were telling Tristan and Isolde, which this ended up being half because he wanted her for her power, and we're going to go into the Dark Union aspect of this, then they should have gone full bore. They went halfsies. Yeah. And that is a very important for you to keep in mind on how we got half. Yeah. Think of that. We got half. Yeah. But the other people in the fandom who have held the nostalgia myth in their minds for so long, they got the other half. Yeah. That's what they decided to do. Yep. Okay. So, the Falcon they got the Falcon back. She's a hardy ship. Poe says after Hux saves them, Hux. And he saves them to spite Kylo, to help Kylo's girlfriend. He knows who Kylo's girlfriend is. I just want him to lose. And I thought, yes, you delivered this brilliantly. When he says, I'm the spy, I'm like, yes, you go. You do this. You go. And then you get shot. And then he gets killed. What the hell is up with that? It made me so mad. So mad. Just unnecessary. Don't look too closely at this movie, Ty. You will go blind. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so they jump in the Falcon. They're like, "Come on, Rey!" And Rey's this scene was actually very beautiful. When he took his helmet off, yeah, when he took his helmet off, and he's just like, "Rey, take my hand," like that pleading. Which again, taken from The Last Jedi. This was a blue version of the red scene. Yeah. A lot of things were blue versions of red that happened in TLJ. That's really funny, but true. Okay, so literally the TLJ scene, but instead of fighting in this moment, she runs away. Yeah. And it's a beautiful jump, the scene, everybody blowing back, and he's hanging on to the truth that he knows. I'm just cherishing this moment for the rest of my life. Yeah. This moment is
is so beautiful. She jumps on the thing. She's like having a mental breakdown. They realize, okay, we know what we need to do. We need to go to Death Star 2.
Yeah.
Hey, that rhymes. The little joys. But their landing gear is broken for some reason. I didn't understand why their landing gear was broken.
I thought Falcon was about to like go. I was like, yes, it's like it's going. Like it's gonna be blown up. Please let it blow up, because that would be the end of the saga. Come on.
Yeah. But the landing gear, when did the landing gear break? I don't know. They landed weird on Endor or Moon question mark.
Yeah.
I don't look too closely at this movie. It's fine. Jana shows up. Oh my God. Okay, so I love Jana. I love what they did with Jana. I love the Finn and Jana stuff. I love the fact that she's a former stormtrooper. I like the identification of that. I like the fact that now Finn feels like he kind of found family in the similar experiences with Jana.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so good. But they don't spend any time to allow us to feel that, to understand that these stormtroopers are people.
Okay, so I felt iffy about Jana because I felt like I went in thinking that she had already replaced Rose, and she did replace Rose in a lot of ways that were unnecessary. I thought that their conversations together were really interesting, and I wanted them to push it more. But again, they refused to lean into anything. They refused to lean into anything. They had glimpses of things, and they refused to lean into it. So whatever, somebody actually tweeted something really funny about this recently, about how Jana and Finn had this great conversation about how the stormtroopers can feel the Force, and they can, like, they have the potential to, and they could put their weapons down, and there is hope for them. And then they go and they proceed to kill more people by the end of it. And it just feels,
instead of making the choice to try and turn the people, have the rebellion, have the satisfaction of changing the past.
Yeah.
What is the transformation this movie allows us to go through?
Exactly.
And that's the thesis of this analysis.
Yeah.
What is our transformation, our elixir from a Joseph Campbellian perspective that we take home?
Yeah. The film gives us the transformation, but doesn't give us the next two steps, which are atonement and the return. You can transform, but if you do not atone and return, you're in the American monomyth. Yep. So, and that's something we'll talk about later. But yeah, that all the characters had some kind of transformation, but that nothing came of it. There is nothing that happens after that transformation. And the transformation is so small in this film because there's too much going on to like allow us to think about it.
Mm-hmm. So they leave, they go to Death Star 2 location in an ocean on I guess there's multiple biomes on this. I don't care. There's horsies on this planet. I love that. I love the horsies.
Yeah.
I'm accepting the horsies. They're in my piggy bank. They see the Death Star 2. I mean, Rey is going through it. Basically, Daisy Ridley is like in tears for like this whole movie, except when it matters.
Yeah, her eyes are always welling up. Always. So fascinating.
Because she's like going through things, but it loses impact because when we need it, like there was this comedian that I don't know who it was, but there was this comedian that says when you raise your eyebrows because you're shocked, if you raise them to the utmost the whole way, then when you're actually shocked, like how do you react?
Yeah.
You can't raise your eyebrows any higher.
Yeah. So true.
So it's like we go through this emotional pain the whole movie, and then like it's almost like we're dead inside by the end. Okay.
Yeah.
So they see the Death Star. She's like, I gotta go there. Jana's like, it's not safe. Let's wait. Let's fix your ship. Let's do things that make, a lot of emotional sense to say, let's have a rest. No, we do not get to rest. Rey is trying to find answers.
Yeah.
it's not even like she's struggling with what she has heard. She is trying to sort out, did she have I'm trying to remember, she had a moment where she said like, he killed my parents, or was that later? At some point she says that out loud, but it's missed. That emotional impact is missed, and or glossed over, or sped through, which is more of the crime of this movie.
It's not about the fact that Rey actually had parents that loved her. No, they don't actually care about that. They just care about her getting her power from Palpatine.
Yeah. Okay, so she takes the ship because she's cool, because this is space wizards and she's a space wizard. And she goes and she does all of her things that she did in TFA. Yeah. Just to remind us that she is still the little girl.
That made me so she was in TFA. Mad. I was like, okay, so remember when the Dark Rey image first came out, and I was like, okay, this doesn't make any sense because she's already been through this. So if this image is for her, that doesn't...
It was in a mirrored room, so it was a reference to TFA. Yeah. No, sorry, TLJ. It was a reference to the mirror cave. Yes. This was a direct, attemptive, emotional parallel, but it falls flat because it also is supposed to mirror the Dagobah cave specifically for Luke.
Why would they do that again? That really made me mad. We don't need that.
But I was right. It was a Naboo special that she was wearing when I said Dark Rey was wearing.
Because it was in Palpatine. Because she is from the Nabooian.
Yeah, she's of Naboo. Yeah. She is of Naboo. Yeah. She is from the source planet.
There's so much here they could have explored. Her being a Palpatine
interesting things.
And her being from Naboo would have been so interesting if they would have shown that she mirrored Padme.
Yeah, and like that parallel, like she was the good that was from the evil. They delivered badly from it.
They didn't understand.
From these concepts that could be cool, because I think that was brought in after, right? You can see the shifts in the narrative, right? You can see the interplay. Kill her. No, bring her to me. No, now I'm going to kill her. Now you kill me. What?
Yeah. And then she does kill him, so it's like, why? I don't understand.
Yeah, no. Okay. Okay, so she confronts Dark Rey, and Dark Rey's like, don't be afraid of your power. Don't be afraid of who you are. What? And then she shows the spiky teeth.
It was so weak. It was such a weak version. Rian Johnson's version of this was 1,000 times better because it allowed us to chew on it. Mm-hmm. This was so blunt that the dark side is evil and the Sith are evil and Palpatine is evil. Right? You don't want to be evil, do you?
Yeah. Okay, so
that was awful.
I need to take a moment to talk about journeys into the subconscious a little bit and like what happened here. So she's like, she senses the Sith talk, so it's a mirror of certain aspects of TLJ as well when she's like being called by the Force, right? This is the call of the Force. She can hear basically the Wayfinder. Why not use a holocron? No, we'll use holocron light.
Ugh,
Wayfinder.
I hated that.
Yeah, I don't hate anything. I just find things kind of funny because it's like, okay, I see what you were doing, but you wanted to name your own thing. Make it your own. Okay, so it's your own. Cool. Good thing there was only 2 Wayfinders and they're both destroyed now.
Let's not.
They will never exist again.
Let's not do that again.
Okay, so going into the subconscious, especially with environments like this, this was our version of Rey's Elsewhere. So it mirrors literally what happened in TLJ. It is a mirror cave for her, right? She comes in expecting to find the key to finding the darkness so that she can actually resolve that. She finds herself, the thing that she is afraid of, because they have shown us and told us in this movie that the thing that she is afraid of is herself.
Yeah, and her future.
She faces herself and she falls on her ass.
Yeah.
She doesn't learn anything by destroying herself. She falls on her butt and is alone.
Yeah. And she does find the Wayfinder, but then she drops it as she falls on her butt.
And Kylo picks it up and says, the only way you're going to Exegol is with me. Crush. And this scene was beautiful. Like, I like beautiful to look at, right? Like everybody loved this scene because of the yin yang imagery in it. And the setup and the trash and the garbage, like literally this is a visual representation of both of their shadows playing out in the moment. And actually it's one of the most beautiful looking moments. And he's like, I'm with you, be with me, we can do this together, but still on the dark side because he's an idiot. He hasn't seen the light yet. We're going to get to that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so she's like, grr, lightsaber. Like, so I don't know. This was one of the only places, this is one of the only scenes that they gave us breathing room, and then it didn't mean anything, really. It was like there was a ton of breathing room. She was fighting him and he refused to fight back until she was really serious.
But that's every single Reylo fanfic ever, and like all of us knew it was coming, and like there was no good dialogue, and that was so frustrating because it was like this is the moment that they can actually talk, and they don't. And I will never.
There is going to be a lot of internal conversations in Ray Carson's book. I hope there's a lot of internal how I feel in this situation. What am I going through?
I feel like it'll still be kind of a betrayal because of, we'll give these fans their movie, but we will give these fans their book. I just feel like
honk honk, we love the library.
We love the library. We love the library. We love our young adult fiction that should be titled new adult fiction. We love our romantic plot lines, and we love having actual sexual tension and actual sex in our love stories. Thank you very much.
But no, we children, we little girls that need to be protected from ourselves.
And we need to stay pure because only pure angelic girls can be heroes in the American monomyth.
Yep. Thank you for spitting in my face, just like the ocean spits in their faces as they are having a very sexually tense conversation with lightsabers.
By the way,
on the Death Star,
the physical choreography here, they tried to make this as non-sexual as possible, but they literally couldn't help it because the story that they were telling called for sexual tension. Rey's body language while they were fighting was of a tomboy. Like, she was like, no, like, I'm not going to give in to this. It literally, like, it's like she has not progressed over the films at all. Like, she has not become a woman with a woman's body. She did not move like a woman. She still moves like the tomboy that JJ created in the first film. She did not develop.
And that's okay.
That's okay. But
like, that's okay.
She didn't.
It doesn't feel congruous with what we have experienced over the course of her journey.
Her internal journey in The Last Jedi told us that she was becoming a woman.
Yes.
But I didn't see that. I saw the same hurt, lost little girl that I saw in The Force Awakens. And that sucks.
And that is actually what the end tells us,
yes,
too.
That is solidified by the end. The only time we saw Rey as like a woman, there were glimpses of it throughout, but she was a woman when she was a woman.
She was a scared little girl this whole movie, and they reinforce it by the direct parallel to what she looks like in The Force Awakens. She has not changed. She did not have a journey. So they fight. Jana and Finn show up, and they're like,
stop fighting.
Right.
Don't fight.
And then she she pushes him back and is like, I'm having a very heated conversation with my space boyfriend right now. Please leave me alone. They jump over things. These are Force wizards. They are a dyad in the Force. When did that come out? I forget. I think it was at one point he told her that they were connected, and they are a dyad, and I don't remember, but just confirming, yes, they are soulmates. They cannot live without each other. They are this. Cool. If you don't know what a dyad is, it's literally a union of two souls.
Yeah.
So, or 2 points, basically.
Yeah.
Are binary suns, basically. They used that symbolism so much, and that's why it's going to be heartbreaking for some people at the end.
Exactly.
They fight. I don't really need to talk about it. Okay, now we have Leia realizing that they're fighting. She can sense it in the Force. She's like, oh no, they're fighting. She goes to a quiet location and distracts her son, and Rey kills him.
Yeah, I hated this. I thought this was so frustrating to watch.
I read this scene as she did not want Rey to die.
He did not want Rey to die. He did not.
No, Leia didn't want Rey to die. And so she killed her own son.
That was so weird.
Is that how you read it?
I didn't understand. I was like, why is she...
Leia killed Ben Solo.
Yeah. She kept him from... But here's the thing. Was he about to kill Rey? Like, that would have gone against...
I don't know. I don't know what they were trying to do with this scene. But she stabs him where Han was stabbed, which is mythologically important.
Right. The death and
rebirth thing. To take on the wounds, the death and rebirth, and the fact that he was stabbed the way. This is a reversal of TFA, so it's actually this
is like one of the only good parts that makes sense.
I'm trying to talk, but I cannot, because there's things like that still bug me about it, but it's mythologically significant. This whole thing is very mythologically significant, so I will try to work my way through it. He is stabbed with the wound. She realizes what she has done. Leia passes out or dies. I don't know, because she doesn't disappear until later. There's no weight to that because we move on. Right? Thank you for bringing Leia back, but you used her in such a way that I cannot mourn for her.
Yeah.
Rey realizes what she's done. She's really upset about it, so she heals him, which is Campbellian in that the wound, like the weapon that caused the wound, must heal the wound. Okay. And she heals not only his wound, but his facial scar. So that's important because she has healed his wound that she dealt him previously.
She heals the wounded masculine. And it's incredibly symbolic. Yeah.
And from that, she says, I wanted to take your hand, Ben Solo's hand, and then leaves in his car. Yeah. Like, she's like, I know I can't do this. I'm leaving. And he has this moment with Han. Han does live in him, because he now has been healed. It's a reversal of the TFA scene. It's incredibly significant. It's incredibly important. It falls flat in certain moments for some people, I think, but it was incredibly important. And Harrison acted the hell out of it. Oh, so good. And he touches his face the same way. And like, he's like, I know what I have to do. I don't know if I have the strength. I want to go home. Like, he's got all of those emotions that we wanted from Ben Solo. And suddenly he is Ben Solo and he chucks his lightsaber away. That was so good. I'm storing this it's got a whole chapter in my new book of mythology because it's so good. They did this.
It was really good. I when I saw the lightsaber get tossed, I was like, no, because I thought it would have been much more significant symbolically if he would have held on to that, because it was
like if it had healed or something.
You know what? I didn't even need it to be healed. It was a part of him. It was never red. It was always yellow red, right? In the script, it was even written as yellow red.
Yeah, it was always it's like orangey red or yellow red. Yeah,
it was so Ben and Ben,
but it could have been like solid and clear or something, not fiery anymore. Yeah, like there are things they could have changed. I'm fine with him chucking the lightsaber. It's a physical. it's a physical reaction to him throwing away the past of who he was.
Yeah, which I'm sure they were trying to harken back to the idea of Luke throwing the lightsaber. I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm going to go save the person I love, just like how he...
Yeah, not fighting what we hate, but saving what we love. Actually, we have to hang on to this moment because it's so important. And Han lives, and that reconciliation of the masculine is so important for young men.
Yeah.
Right? And it is the thing that although we had moments of it in previous movies where men are able to actually have conversations and heal from their past wounds with their fathers, like Luke, speaking with Vader, the message that he now lives in Ben Solo is really important.
Yeah.
And it undoes it later on. So we're going to get to that. Okay.
Yes, because Ben doesn't speak a word of dialogue after this scene.
Yep. Okay. She goes to Acto for some reason using stock footage of the island. I hated
that. Sorry, I keep saying this now because, yes, the movie did get worse as we went on. It really did. It really did.
It really did. And we have to acknowledge its problems. And we're critiquing. If you love this movie, I really do understand. It was beautiful, and it's got lots of good things, especially like the banter between the trio and all sorts of stuff. It just, there's some things that will forever kind of grate on me, and this is my way of processing them, putting them into the right place so I can actually speak about what I love. So she goes to Acto. She's burning the ship. She's throwing logs on the fire, and then is finally just I'm just gonna chuck this lightsaber and live out my days. It's a weird Luke version.
I did that.
I hope the caretakers don't mind. They hate me, but okay. And Luke's catching the lightsaber, and this read weird for me.
Yeah, me too.
But I think it was the out of character moments in this movie feel like the actors acting, not the actors being.
Yeah.
So this feels like Mark Hamill making fun of himself.
Yes. 1,000 times. Yes.
I chucked the lightsaber before, but I catch the lightsaber now. And on its surface, that would have been fine. Yeah. But like many moments in this movie that are meta commentary on the fan canon, this is a meta commentary on the fanon. So we have never actually seen ungrumpy, depressed Luke before. Mm-hmm. We have never seen whatever version. So when Yoda came back as a Force ghost in TLJ, he was the happy, merry person that he was in Empire Strikes Back. Who is Luke, non-grumpy and depressed? I feel like he would have been him at the end of New Hope, right?
Yeah.
But this was Mark Hamill, not
This was
Luke.
how Mark Hamill thought Luke should have been in The Last Jedi.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to be me. I don't want to be Luke. So where is this Luke coming from? And that's why it felt weird for me. I didn't mind the catch in theory. Yeah. I understood the conversation. Facing fear is the destiny of a Jedi. Did you never love Ben Solo at all? I guess not, since now he's redeemed, but you don't want to talk to him either. He goes and says, let me tell you some exposition. Here's a lightsaber from Leia that I had for some reason, I guess, in my hut, hidden away.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the worst change to canon ever, because it actually rewrites certain point of view, bloodline, I'm sure there's other canon books where it rewrites aspects of the saga. So, or aspects of the one story.
Yeah.
Luke and Leia trained at some point. Maybe when she was pregnant. I don't know. It was unclear when this happened. We get bad facial animation in this moment. It really bothered me. Mm-hmm. He was training her, I guess. She realized, what did she realize? I forget.
It was not clear. There was too much. It was too much exposition at one time.
Yeah, I'd have to like rewatch this movie, and I'm not going to for many.
I know
weeks.
you saw it twice. I've only seen it once, but good Lord.
Yeah, the only reason I'm even talking about this is because I've seen it twice and I remember stuff like I don't know, they reasons Leia quit because stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy she had a lightsaber. I don't know why. That's my childhood.
Yeah.
I'm happy she had a lightsaber. That's me as an ancient fan being happy about it. I don't know how to process it yet. And that's okay.
And I'll just say that the fans of Leia, like the actual story that
Leia stands,
the not just Leia stands, the people who looked up to her as a figure, as a role model, were she was a role model regardless of the. Oh my God, I feel so bad for Claudia Gray. I feel so bad for Jason C. Fry. Like they wrote her with this lens of she never used her force powers against anyone. She had them. They were untrained because she didn't want to rely on the force. And that was a powerful message in and of itself. The idea of being untrained is more powerful than being trained. In the idea of like Campbellian myth, and the idea of what George Lucas set up, George Lucas stumbled into a powerful Leia without meaning to. A lot of people took Leia being kind of this, like, actually becoming, the child of Darth Vader as well, like being kind of this equal with Luke, a twin, They created their own myth and their idea of it, and said, you know what? Leia didn't need to use a lightsaber. She didn't need to be trained. She was powerful. Because of course she was. And that's all they needed.
Because of course she was. Because she was a powerful woman. She was a strong woman.
She was a general.
She was a
princess.
Hope.
She was everything. She was everything that we would want to be.
And she took the pain of everything that she had ever experienced and turned it into hope. But now she is something different with this lens. And it's going to be hard to look at for a while. It doesn't
fit with me because, again, it's trying to correct something that
didn't need correction.
It was something that, again, fans leaned into it.
No, so in this moment, we are getting, why was Leia training Rey when she had never been trained? Oh no, she had been trained.
Yeah.
So we need to train our women because they cannot know the truth without us teaching them. I'm sorry to say, but that's actually what is being said.
She was trained by Luke. Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes,
So Leia got all of her power and her strength from Luke.
Yeah.
Thanks
she was able
that.
To fly in space because of this training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is retconning.
Yeah.
I hate that word. This is changing, iterating on the narrative in a negative way. It is telling us that we cannot have strength on our own.
Yeah.
You broke the myth. You broke it.
We have to learn, and we have to be a part of what is already set up. We have to be a part of the rules that have already been set up. We can't just be who we are.
It's oppositionally opposed to both the heroine's journey and Campbellian hero's journey. Mythic dissonance.
Yeah, mythic dissonance.
This is why this will never feel good for me. Okay, so she gets the lightsaber, and Luke is pulling his Red 5 starship, handing his literal ship, his journey to Rey. This is happening. I hate it and I love it at the same time.
Me too. I felt the same way about this.
Okay, so I love it because it is a handoff and it is a reflection of the handing the journey over and completion of the thing he was never able to complete on Dagobah. Right? And how he has grown and the completion of his journey and giving her the elixir, right? He is handing on his legacy to her. okay, that's literally what is happening symbolically, so I can accept that. What is actually happening is reaffirming the patriarchy. Yes. Because she cannot lift this on her own. She needs me to lift it for her.
Yeah. I had issues with that. I told Corey about it.
This is a hard pill to swallow, guys. I love it and I hate it. And that's so much of this movie. I cannot get a medium response out of this movie. And it sucks. It sucks so bad to experience this. To be wounded and healed and then wounded again and then healed. That is my experience of this movie.
I'm right there with you. And I don't think people are listening to this and they have no choice if they're listening but to understand where we're coming from.
I'm so sorry.
But I'm sorry. I'm sorry
we have to go through this, but this is the only way we're going to be able to analyze this movie correctly. And I have to feel these things. I've literally cried on this podcast. I've never cried on my own
Marie
podcast.
Claire doesn't usually cry in general. I'm usually the one that cries, but I don't know. I can't though. I have balancing
this pain in my heart that I haven't been able to get out. So this is how I'm getting it out.
And I'm balancing off of you because I have to be strong when people can't be. That's who I am. But
thank you, Ty.
You're welcome.
So she's like, okay, we're gonna go and do this. Okay, and now enter.
So let me just say something real quick. It's funny because it made me laugh. But Corey and I told him about. He hasn't seen it yet, so I told him about the Octo thing and the ship and him pulling it out of the water. And Corey was like, well. I guess that sounds a little weird. And I was like, no, but it wasn't because it happened like this. And he goes, oh, okay. Well, why couldn't Rey do it?
Yeah, that was my question.
And I was like,
it was a direct call to say Luke was able to do this, but it ends up playing so weird because of who we know Rey has been.
Exactly.
And how this doesn't show she has learned anything.
Exactly. And I understand.
This is her journey, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Isn't this her journey? Isn't she the protagonist of this sequel trilogy?
Not only is this her journey, so it does mirror the idea like that Yoda pulled the ship out of the water when Luke can't. I understand that, and I understand it's harkening back to that. However, this sequel trilogy is supposed to move us forward. If she were to lift that ship out of the water, it would have given the same emotional significance and the same thematic significance as if Luke would have done it. Because Luke already did his big thing in the last film.
He taught her how to do it. If he just witnessed it, it's like passing on what you have learned.
It's like she would have been correcting his failures of the past.
Yeah. No, we cannot correct the failures. We must something bullshit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, so now into the scene that my children made fun of the entire ride home. You want to hear what the scene is? Okay, we know what's happening. The First Order is joining with the old Emperor Palpatine and the Resistance co-generals. I'm still making fun of co-generals for forever.
Yeah.
Forever, yeah. Co-generals. Okay, what do we do? How do we do this? Well, if we go, we'll just go and fight and it'll work out. Hello, Deus Ex Machina. What if we just did a bunch of... Oh, I love you, Dominic Monaghan. But this was a direct look at the camera with Fanon. So I haven't dug out all of the Fanon from this, but it's there. And when it happens, it breaks the fourth wall. Dominic Monaghan looks at the camera and says, we could just pull a bunch of Holdo maneuvers. That name does not exist in the universe.
Yeah.
If they had said, well, we could have just done what, Admiral Holdo did. Vice Admiral Holdo did. We could run our ships, and using the term Holdo maneuvers is a Fanon term. So fan canon. Our fandom, fans on the internet, have called it that. And it bugged people.
Yeah.
This is a correction, a reiteration that, no, that was a 1 in a million thing. one in a billion thing. Who knows, right? Okay, we can't do that. We already understood that this was no, we have to show and tell. We have to show and tell that this is not the solution.
Well, and also he was suggesting something that was literally going to sacrifice like hundreds of people.
Yeah, it's like we're going to just kamikaze all the ships.
That's what made it ridiculous.
Could we not?
That's what made it ridiculous. Why don't we just do the holdover maneuver? Wait, you want to kill like a bunch of people? Why did they respond that way was beyond me. Like, it took away a lot of the emotional weight that moment had and made it into a joke.
I want to talk about the music, but I'm specifically doing a musical roundtable with Christy Carew and Frank and Felicia.
Oh, really? With Frank? Oh, really? Oh, yay!
So I do want to talk about the music, but the music was used incongruently in the movie, and we're going to go into that because in these moments where the resistance is supposed to be like figuring out what they're going to do, we hear Palpatine's
the resistance theme doesn't play. I kept noticing that. That was so weird.
Yeah, music was used wrongly in this movie.
Yeah.
And that disappoints me because I defended J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
On working with composers and bringing the best out of composers, and unfortunately this didn't do that. John Williams still produced a beautiful score, but it feels wrong.
Because it was probably edited
much like parts of this movie. Okay, so they're like, we're gonna show up anyways, and we contacted Lando, and Lando's gonna try to rally the troops. Okay. Leia's been trying for over a year to bring the resistance together, but they don't show up out of fear. Lando says, last time, let's go kill ourselves for the resistance and to bring an end to this. And everyone shows up 35 seconds later.
I thought that was so cheap because we saw the image.
And sexist.
It's very sexist. And like we saw the image of all the ships showing up in the like, where did we see it in a teaser or where did it show up?
Lando wasn't doing anything for anybody. He didn't have any I guess maybe because he's just such a charismatic guy and he promised everybody that he would like, hey, how you doing? You know, like, I don't know. It's just, no, we must have a man to tell us what to do. Co-generals.
The idea of all the ships showing up, the only way people would flock to a war like that is if they were given religious figures to flock to. I'm sorry, but it literally makes no sense.
We must support Rey. Rey is doing this. You know, I guess because she was leading the way, they got the message from Red 5 from Luke's ship because Luke's power was given to her, and thus she is now the vessel of masculine power.
I think that it had to have been. I think that at the end of the day, the better choice would have been if they learned that Ben and Rey were teaming up together, and that Ben was now on their side.
I am not rewriting this movie.
No.
This movie stands on its own.
But like literally, like, when you see that image, that's what it evokes. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense for Lando to have shown up with those ships.
Ben and Rey are going after the Emperor. She managed to bring Ben back from the dark side. That filters throughout the galaxy. The First Order, some of the ships are turning. We actually have a chance. If they had just said that...
Yeah. It was so simple. That's what I don't understand. Why did it have to be Lando bringing everyone back? Because that's so offensive to what happened in the previous film. It doesn't make any sense.
It's also like assuming even in this movie that Leia was incompetent.
Yeah, she didn't do everything she should have done as a general.
Could have done, should have done. Yep. Good. Thanks for that. But yeah, no, you're right. If they had said, look, some of the First Order ships are changing. The ones that are under Allegiant General are not able to, we have to help. There's a little bit more hope.
They could have shown up because of what Finn did by some kind of First Order rebellion
signal
or something like that. Yeah, there's so many ways they could have gone with that.
They could have had a signal that Finn did a speech with Janet. It's like we resisted. That would have been so
therefore
cool.
You can too.
We resisted the programming,
they
and then and it could have been like and your supreme leader is turned, like, man, that would have been cool. That would have actually healed so much. And even though he died,
or like if Finn talks about, like Finn's telling Rey the whole time, like, he's trying to tell her apparently that he's force sensitive. Maybe that's when he gives the speech and he says, I'm force sensitive. Anyone can be. That's why we all need to rise up, because we all have the potential to be Jedi, or we all have the potential to be
greater than ourselves.
Yeah. Like, okay. I'm done trying to rewrite the film. All right, let's move on.
So Rey leads them into nowhere space that millions of people exist with no crops or food or anything, but an entire society exists that they created just to die. So Rey is leading the resistance there, and this is like kind of the thing that like causes her to feel bad, because she like leads her family, her found family that she has no connection with whatsoever, and that's told throughout the course of the movie. She doesn't feel like anyone knows her. That's her fear. No one knows her, but yet she's going. Okay. So she shows up, she arrives, and she arrives into, again, the Sith acolytes, this like weird stadium. It feels very Romanesque. It's really interesting. And hey, I was right. That throne was for her.
Yes, it was. And I do have to say, I don't understand why they're going for that symbolism unless somebody created it that actually was trying to make it for her. Because they did that thing. It was even more of a flower than we thought it was. Did you see that?
Yeah, it was.
So it wasn't sticking out, it was sticking forward. Yeah. And that the petals, if you will, were they were all facing forward. And so it was actually more of a flower than what we had originally said. It looked kind of like a lotus. So, very weird.
And Palpatine
I
shows
love that
up.
You're calling him Palpatine. That's hysterical.
He is a Palpatine. He's a Palpatine until he shows up as Palpatine.
I don't understand the symbolic reason for that, because the whole point was that Palpatine...
Well, from a metatextual perspective, he is the thing that they dragged from the rest of the saga on life support to try to make us understand the meaning.
Oh, God.
I mean... Palpatine says, "Oh, Rey." So he has already lied to her.
Oh my God,
twice.
The man behind the curtain is JJ.
Yeah. Yes. Wizard of Oz,
hurts.
right?
That hurts so bad.
The mystery box was JJ all along.
Oh my God.
Okay.
That robotic arm that just made me mad. I just was like, why?
That's just so funny. Oh, Rey, my granddaughter. I never wanted to kill you. I wanted you to rule as Empress Palpatine.
Wait, this is so meta-textual, though. If, like, George Lucas was actually seeing himself as the Emperor, and now JJ has taken on that role as well.
I want you to kill me and I shall live in you. This is the Dark Union. This is literally the Dark Union. It does not need to be romantic. She wants her femininity, her power of creation. We hear it later on specifically. We hear that they have the power of creation.
Through their bond.
I.e., if they come together, they will have sex and create a new generation. Literally, the Palpatine, the Emperor, says this. What is he the Emperor of? I don't know. I guess the people that they invented for this scene? Whatever. Okay. So she's like, no. Meanwhile, Ben Solo shows up on the planet and enter the most amazing parts of the next little bit.
He shows up.
Palpatine changes his mind so many times in this movie. Did he like lose his ability to see the future? Did he stop being a planner? Like did he like just decide to live in the moment?
He decided to live in the moment. He let his hair down.
So I am laughing for fear of crying because you've already heard me cry. So if I laugh, it's because I'm just like, the ridiculousness. I will hang on to this.
Ben running was one of the sexiest things I've seen in the entire
Oh my
saga.
God, with his blaster, and he looked like his dad, and
loose fitting black long sleeve shirt. Yeah.
He is Tristan.
Yeah. All of a sudden, he's Tristan. Tristan, and I hope people know we're referencing Tristan and he's old. But yes, he is, all of a sudden he is Tristan and he is the romantic hero. And he's got his hair pushed back.
In the end, Palpatine wanted to marry his granddaughter. He wanted to marry the spirit of the light and the dark. This is dark union.
Absolutely.
It is so important that people recognize this, that regardless of whether she was a Palpatine or not, he wanted to have a union.
And that was why Ben was given that romantic role so much easier by the general audience. The general audience was willing to accept him more because he came to her aid during that moment.
It would have worked without her being a Palpatine.
Yes.
It would have worked with just, you are powerful, Rey. I need you to take over the galaxy. And exactly what I said would happen is that Palpatine offered her the power because she, and his temptation of her was, you can save your found family.
Yeah.
Because he could not see the love that Ben had for her. He couldn't see the love. It was exactly what I said would happen, but at what cost?
Yeah.
I'm so frustrated.
Yeah.
Sheevdemption. She refuses. She offers him compassion.
Yeah.
She offers the worst person in the galaxy compassion. Hang on to that. That is so important. That is vitally important to Star Wars, that she recognized that she shouldn't hate anyone.
But
that is her true Jedi moment. I don't hate anyone, even you.
Missed opportunities, though, because
he could have actually been healed. She could have healed the monster. She could have healed him in that moment and ended the war
with her healing abilities that she had.
And done it voluntarily and saying, like, I will heal you. I will, we
could have gotten like a spry Ian McDiarmid with the hood pulled down and whatnot, and saying, like, why would you do that? Why would you heal me? Why would you give up so much of your life force?
Why would you heal the monster?
There's so much.
And allow him to be redeemed. And then it says something about our society that's bigger. But no, we didn't. Instead, she sees that Ben is coming and agrees to kill him anyways.
Yeah. That was so weird.
Decides, I guess, I've come to peace with it. It is what it is. We don't know the emotions that she's feeling in that moment because it's so confusing.
It is.
And we didn't have time to understand them.
What was with the imagery that we got throughout all the promotional material that showed their blades crossed? If she was just going to cross blades and kill Palpatine on her own in the end. They showed Ben and Rey's blades were crossed through so much of the marketing.
No, the marketing doesn't align with the movie. That's part of the mythic dissonance that we're experiencing, because marketing itself is mythology. And I'm going to go into that. I think Ty and I, over the course of this conversation, have taken breaks because she always needs to pee. And we've discussed it, and we're going to actually break this into a 2-part. I'm hoping to release them in order. But we need to talk about some other stuff, and it needs to be in its own conversation rather than just reaction. Okay, where was I? Okay, so I don't want to ask what could have been.
Fine.
I don't.
That's fair.
No, this is just getting it out of me because it feels like poison.
Suck the poison out.
Suck the poison out.
That's totally fair. So what happens is that Ben comes for her. The Knights of Ren stop him. And then Palpatine asks her to kill him. And she she has that smile on her face where she senses Ben is there.
Yeah, and they have this beautiful moment where they see each other and he looks glorious, and I'm saving this in my piggy bank of memory forever.
Absolutely.
And he literally kills the machines of his past. He kills these creatures, these shadows of his past. And she fights with Leia's lightsaber.
Do you know that the fight that Ben has with the Knights of Ren is the exact same choreography as the Praetorian Guard?
Yes, it is the exact same choreography. They replicated because cloning is cool
we
now.
like to copy and paste because we think that that's rhyming. Like, we think that that's poetry. Like, are you kidding me?
That is not rhyming.
That had no reason at all.
Yeah. And women in this fandom that, not just women, but anybody who has seen that scene enough will have recognized it, and it will either feel weird or it will feel okay. And that is the truth. And if you reacted weird to it, cool. If you liked it, cool. I don't know what to tell you. I expect more of the Star Wars It Rhymes, because it's not directly repetitive words, because rhyming cat with cat is not a rhyme. That's the problem, is rhyming cat with cat is not a rhyme. That's repetition, but not rhyming. And when I talk about repetitive storytelling, each time it repeats, it's supposed to transform a little bit. And this did not transform at all. It repeated, but didn't transform. And that is what we're going to get into later.
Yeah. Oy.
Somebody once said that I was going to do 7 hours. After the movie, they said that I was going to do 7 hours on this.
They might be accurate.
They might be accurate. Like, I am filled with so much, and I have to get it out. So I want to spend so much time living in this moment. When Ben shows up, he shoots the blaster. He is Han Solo. He's got the lightsaber pulled from his back that they connected. They're connected soul to soul. He pulls it out. He does the Han Solo shrug.
Oh, I loved it so much.
He is the sweet baby boy that Anakin could never become. He is fully healed, and he's on a mission to save the love of his life.
Yeah.
His soulmate.
Yeah.
He kills them because they are nothing but shadows of his past, and shows up and stands next to her, and she's so happy and relieved. And Palpatine is able to just suck the life force out of Reylo. Well, how metatextual is that?
It's so metatextual. It's like, you thought you were going to get this, but you're not. You're only going to get this for time.
Again, moments of brilliance that were not purposeful, but brilliant nonetheless, because now we have a lens to view this movie. Unfortunately, Reylo is more powerful than that.
Yeah. Like,
so he heals himself by sucking the life force out of them. They fall to the ground, like basically white and black, like they're married. It's really, the imagery is just so fascinating. He's like a dark priest in front of them. And he's like, I'm going to kill Ben Solo, yeet, into a pit. That's the worst part of the leaks being right. Can I just say that?
That was absolutely the worst part of the leaks being right. Yeah.
It was, okay, so
I thought the pit would have been fine if it was dealt with appropriately. I wanted to see a slow-mo fall. I wanted to see him fall into the pit, and that was going to be his death moment with a rebirth coming.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been beautiful.
So this is, I mean, missed opportunities aside. So Palpatine's like, I'm done with you, Skywalker. I also called that.
Yeah. He says, no,
he's
like,
done with the Skywalkers.
You're too much of a problem. Yeah. Yeah.
And instead of killing Rey, like he killed Ben, he torments her. He torments the feminine.
Oh, it's again, violation. It's just, it's incredibly, like, offensive.
He says, I'm going to kill everything you cared about, in the worst, like, evil villain monologue. And she gets to look up into the stars and connect with the Jedi of the past. I guess she's now like the Avatar or something.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that.
I don't know, but we get to find out that Ahsoka Tano is a Force ghost.
Which means that she's dead.
Thanks. I guess.
Sucks. Like, what? Like, why? Like, why? I hope he at least got, like, the okay from Lucasfilm Story Group to...
I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did, because there's so much recontextualization of the canon that tells me that the story group actually wasn't involved in this movie.
Ugh.
So maybe even Dave Filoni had to accept that by the time The Rise of Skywalker is around, Ahsoka Tano is dead.
That's so messed up.
Who was not a Jedi. Who was not a Jedi. She says herself she's not a Jedi.
Yeah, yeah. The whole be with me thing.
Be with me. Be with me. Well, we know what's going to start all of the spectrophilia fics that are going to start.
Oh, yeah, we already got
this.
a comic. I love the comic. Because the first thing I thought of when Rey shows up with the rocks around her.
Okay, no, we're going to get to that.
The first thing I thought about when she was saying it in the film, be with me, I was like, is she talking about Ben? Like, that is the first thing my little Reylo heart thought. I was like, what is she talking about?
That would have been cool. No, she was trying to connect with the ghosts, and so she managed to connect with all the Jedi of the past, which, I mean, that was the only thing that paid off in this movie, it feels like.
But doesn't that go counter to, like, what The Last Jedi was trying to tell us? Like, the Jedi don't matter? And that, like...
And... okay.
The Jedi were wrong?
No, because at the end, Luke said, I will not be the last Jedi. He was saying that the Jedi still needed to exist.
No, that's not. But, like, why is she trying to find the answers from the Jedi when Yoda made it clear that she has the answers inside of herself?
Yeah, that is a rewrite of the intention of that movie. That mistakes can make you better and kind of all that stuff. But, okay. So I can accept that she can connect with anything in the Force. I can accept that from the fact that there is no difference in the Force. But that also means no one is ever really gone and nothing matters.
Yes.
In this movie.
Yes.
So there is there is movie logic. In movie logic, that no matter what happens, it doesn't matter.
The limitation and the quantifying life force is what gets me. The quantification of the life force is what gets me. Because it doesn't make any sense. Because
it doesn't connect us with the other. It doesn't connect us with the whole. It connects us with individuals. And so individuals matter and not the all. And yes, individuals matter, but it is both. We are both. We are both the individuals and the other.
The Force runs through every living thing. Therefore, life forces run through every living thing, and every individual is a convergence of the Force.
Yes. And you can pull yourself out of the Force, but it is painful to have conversations with the living. You can manifest as a Force ghost. This was an incredibly painful act that they underwent. And then we got the, like, Anakin, bring balance to the Force. So I once did. Did you? Like, that was it was Hayden Christensen. Thank you for coming back, Hayden, to hear your voice. But now we know that nothing ever mattered. Now we know nothing ever mattered. Nothing ever mattered. Ouch.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
And explain that. Expound upon that. Why in that moment did nothing matter? All the Jedi talking to Rey, telling her to get up, telling her she can do this, telling her she's powerful.
Well, it was the bring the balance to the Force, as I once did, means that the Force can never be balanced. Exactly. So the question, and balance has never been about solving. The balance was never about defeating the dark side. It was about understanding that we have darkness always within us and that we can choose the light because it's Zen.
Yeah.
Right? That's what the yin yang means. It is finding the center, finding your center, finding your truth. The lessons we learn from Star Wars is not about the binary. It's about finding ourselves and our connection to others in the binary.
Yeah.
Because the binary exists only in our mind because we live in time. We live in the temporal world. That's what Joseph Campbell taught us. That is what these philosophies of life teach us, these sacred stories. All of our mythology teaches us that we can, in our human lenses, only see the binaries because we exist now. But when we transcend, when we are able to move past that, we can see that we are also are individuals and part of the whole. And that is the third way. That is the third path. And Anakin didn't bring balance to the Force because Palpatine never went away, because the darkness was never resolved. And I don't know that this movie resolved the darkness. So there was no balance in the Force. The balance in the Force is just a label that was put onto this movie, but it comes off just as easily.
I don't understand why Rey defeating Palpatine on her own, who is her grandfather, defeating him, killing him, who took her life force. I don't understand how that's supposed to put balance in the Force.
No,
and
it doesn't.
And then she also killed all of the other dark side peoples as well, by the way. All those people died too.
And actually, the ending makes a lot more sense to me now. Now that you say that, the ending makes so much sense to me now, because she is actually in, like Kenobi, like Anakin, like Luke, who lived on Acto. She is in exile. Her new home on Tatooine is exile. She has been exiled.
I have a lot to say about that when we get to talking about the American monomyth and like the next part of this, because they had it both ways. They got their hero and their heroine in the exact same person, and that's too much. Yeah. Too much.
She kills Palpatine with Luke and Leia's lightsaber. This is actually, I'm sorry to say,
it's another correction, but like so unnecessary.
It feels like by doing this, they're spiritually saying Luke and Leia are her parents. Yeah. Because the sword that you take up is your father's sword. Luke and Leia are married in this new fiction. They are the only people that matter to Rey from a life perspective. She did not take the darkness in her and consume it and eat it. She destroyed it. She is never going to.
She didn't take the orphan in her. She didn't accept the orphan in her. She didn't accept the loneliness. She took the name of I can't even say it.
Rey Skywalker? Okay, so what we're saying is J.J. Abrams is a Luke and Leia shipper because he saw the original trilogy when he was 10 years old and always thought Luke should end up with Leia.
He thought Luke and Leia was the heart.
That's okay. Did you see that happened.
And did you see the video of him talking about if he was planning the Rey and Ben romance from the beginning from TFA?
Yeah, they could have been siblings.
Like, it was kind of like Luke and Leia. Are you kidding me?
Because specifically, he can see that they are now spiritually her parents. Dude, that's not the myth any longer. That's why this is incongruently it's in opposition of everything I know and why I have a wound in my spirit right now is because you broke the myth.
Because he wasn't paying attention to what has evolved past what he decided to held on to.
What he grew up. So we are in the alternate universe fic of J.J. Abrams, who saw the movies when he was 10. I don't want to go further into that psychology because it freaks me out. But there is so many kinks that were born from this movie. Cool. Thanks for that.
Let's talk about the good parts.
The good parts. Okay.
The only good parts. This still could have been better.
I'm not even going to talk about the space battle because it doesn't matter. There's no emotional weight to it. It falls flat for me. I don't care about the ships. They don't focus on R2 except for to tell me that Poe is using R2D2 and C3. Oh, I do want to spend one moment on Janna and Finn, and I like their banter. I like the fact that Rose again saves his life regardless of love because she loves him so much. Whether he loves her back or not, Rose saved his life again. She says they're still on that ship. Rose,
that had an emotional weight to me.
Rose, I'm taking that home with me. Rose saved Finn's life again. Okay. Palpatine is gone. There's destruction. She kills herself, killing him.
I can't. I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it because this entire thing was about how, again, we're quantifying the life force in order for Ben to die.
Yeah. And I have been struggling with this since I watched the movie. And all I can come up with is allowing Ben to live would have been hard to do or explain. So they took the convenient choice. Rather than trusting the emotions of the audience and that the story would have naturally flown, us experiencing it, and the story would have naturally flown into and flowed into Ben living and us understanding that transformation.
I need somebody to ask JJ why they decided to kill Ben. Like, I need it
you do not ask. You do not ask JJ why. You say to him, interviewers, if you ever have a chance to ask J.J. Abrams, ask him, what emotional resolution did we get by the death of Ben Solo? Ask him that question because there is no answer. There is no good answer because we didn't get any. Yeah. Because the emotional resolution is gone. Anyways, so he crawls himself out of the pit. He is amazing and beautiful and loves her so much. And I will keep this moment in my life force for the rest of time. He's dragging, he's hurting, he's broken, and he holds her in his arms and just like is in that PETA position. It's like, what can I do? And he does the action that she taught him and brings her back by putting his hand on her stomach. And she takes his hand. He's so happy. He smiles. She kisses him. They love each other, and he leaves.
He lays down and disappears. It doesn't fit. It literally, he lays down and he disappears, and then cut to the next scene.
Mm-hmm. You broke it. I have no answer for that, but this does not resolve emotionally in a satisfactory way like you promised, and it was not fun.
So if we want to look back at the leaks and we want to say, all the leaks were right. All the leaks were right, except for that scene. That's the only scene that was wrong in the leaks. JJ was able to keep that under wraps. That kiss wasn't in the leaks. Mm-hmm. And JJ Ward told me, JJ Ward, Jason Ward. Jason Ward said, you just want to see these two characters, right? F word. You know, he was like, you just want to see them. And I said, they're going to kiss. It's inevitable. I'm sorry. It's just what's going to happen. And he said, you'll see.
Well, you proved Jason Ward wrong.
But everything else was right. So.
Yeah, weird.
So, what I get out of this is that JJ guarded this scene because it meant something to him. It meant so much to him. It was the twist of the sequel trilogy. I said that for so long. Reylo is the twist of the sequel trilogy for the general audience. And then he messed it up so hard. He had them kiss, and then he had Ben die. Mm-hmm. Because he thought that the general audience couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it.
This is incongruent with what the Zeitgeist was telling us. Because everybody that I saw mostly with this movie said Ben should have lived.
Easily.
Because that is the fairy tale ending. They could have figured it out. There's lots of things that they could have just left up for the audience to understand. and walk away, and they would have been talking about it instead of walking out. Nobody clapped in my theater after the movie. I've seen it twice. Nobody clapped. People were like, wow, I guess that's the end. Oh, well, let's go on with our lives.
People clapped in my movie, but there were fans in that theater that did not clap. So I looked around. I was sitting by myself, and I looked around, and there were families of people. The families clapped. The fans did not. The groups of kids, like we had like some entourages of like teenagers, like, 12 to 18-year-olds walking around, like acting really cool. Like, oh, I'm not really a fan of Star Wars, but oh my God, did you know about this? Did you know about that? Like, sorry. But there was like these groups of people that were trying to, like, young people that were pretending they weren't fans, but they were. They did not clap. They did not yelp. They did not make a noise through the entire thing. When I got out of the film, they constantly talked about how it felt wrong. I listened to all of them.
Then she ends up, like, showing up at the base. They're congratulating, and we have this weird moment that was shoehorned in where we find out Jana is actually the secret missing child of Lando, or that he's sexually interested in her. That doesn't play very well in the movie, but apparently, according to the visual dictionary, that's supposed to fix all these problems afterwards, because the story group has to fix all of this later. I'm so sorry, guys. I love you all. Now they have to fix all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Some people love this movie, and I love that you love this movie. We are probably never going to get a movie like this ever again in Star Wars. I have reasons for thinking that. She shows up, she hugs the trio, she cries. I guess because she's experiencing the trauma of losing the love of her life and her soulmate, and she now has a eternal wound. Chewie finds out that Leia died. He cries. Or no, he cried earlier. Remember. I don't know.
He cried earlier.
There's so much. Earlier. I guess. I don't know. Then she leaves. Or there was the Chewie medal.
The Chewie medal, yeah. He got Leia's medal, yeah.
Cool. She leaves with BB-8 in her X-Wing. She shows up on Tatooine, flying past the Jawas, landing at... How did she know where that was? How did she know what that was? How did she know that she should go there? Don't look too closely at this movie. It will hurt you. She looks around the place. She's so happy to be back in the desert because that's a reflection of her eternal turmoil, obviously suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and the invisible wounds of being betrayed by the Force. And she slides down the hill like she did in the first movie because she hasn't grown, and she's still the little girl that's trapped on a desert planet because she's actually a dead girl now, and half of herself is gone. She buries the lightsabers, and she pulls out her own new lightsaber, which is cool. I'm cool with the new lightsaber. And I guess I can take it like, oh, I'm off on my adventure again, as she moves towards the binary suns that look like BB-8 for some reason. And then looks at the binary suns briefly. An old woman. Nobody's around the Lars homestead. Like, you have to like really travel to the Lars homestead. Was this woman like robbing this place?
Does she live there?
Was she like does she live? She shows up, she's like, I haven't seen anyone around here in so long. Okay, what were you doing there? Who are you? Ray. I'm Ray. But what's your name, dearie? Ray Skywalker.
I do not understand why there have to be last names in this universe.
No. It's the
Can I say something a little personal? I didn't take my husband's last name. I did not take my husband's last name because I didn't fill the paperwork out in time, and I had some anxiety about doing so. So I said, you know what? I'm going to wait on it. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to get married and be be my name. I'm going to be who I am. So whenever my mom writes a letter to me, she always writes Ty Bedwell, which Bedwell is my husband's name. And I find it hysterical because I keep telling my mom, I haven't changed my name. And she keeps going, well, when are you going to change your last name? And I keep telling her, I don't know. Because deep down inside, I know I probably won't. But
you know what? Both are okay. Okay, so taking your husband's name,
fine.
making some sort of cool.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I did Christmas cards for the first time this year, and I put on them Ty and Corey, right? Mm-hmm. Not the Bedwells, not Tyler Black and Corey Bedwell, nothing like that. I put Ty and Corey because at the end of the day, that's who matters.
That's who matters.
Corey and I are a team. We are a biad. What is it called? Dyad? A biad. I want to say like a. That's so funny. Corey and I are a dyad. We are in this together. We are a partnership. You know, it is me and him. It has nothing to do with our families. It has nothing to do with our I actually do think a legacy is important. And that's the funny thing about this. I actually do think that the legacy my father has passed down to me is important. And the same thing with him, you know. But it's,
I guess, I mean, okay, so I can justify this in a Raylo way to say the Skywalker was the last thing that she heard her grandfather call the love of her life.
But we didn't see Ben, and we didn't hear from Ben, and she didn't grieve for Ben, and it's so...
I guess Ben is part of her.
People have said that, but I don't buy it. I think it's an inference. I don't think it's an actual...
Yeah, no, because he was still around after. Like, it's not like she sucked him into her. Like she held his hand as he passed into the Force. I don't know. I'm gonna need to think about this one for a while. We present Luke and Leia in the binary sunsets. Her and BB-8, and the theme music behind this is called New Home.
Yeah,
she is now dead. Staring off into the sunset like the American monomyth.
She is the children of Luke and Leia. And she's a Palpatine. So every single legacy that has existed in Star Wars now exists in Rey. Everything that has ever happened, and this is something that Palpatine actually emphasized in the film, all of the Sith live in me. And all of the Jedi live in you. So...
And then she kills him, so all of the Sith live in her now.
Sith live in her. Everything that has ever happened is now inside of Rey. What the hell does that mean from a narrative or thematic perspective? Exactly.
It means nothing. Sorry.
They literally just decided to replace Luke and replace everything. They just decided to replace everything with, let's do this young girl who is so good and so pure and so great and so powerful, and let's just give her everything. That is so offensive to what's come before. It is offensive to women.
It's offensive to George Lucas.
It's unfair.
And his storytelling. It's offensive to the creators at Lucasfilm that probably were just told. So I do want to say one thing, which is I know that this was a separate production of Star Wars by Bad Robot versus Lucasfilm, even though it's under the Lucasfilm name and it's produced by all these people, because many of the aspects of The Last Jedi that were, held close were produced by Lucasfilm specifically. The marketing was handled by Lucasfilm. Kind of all of the bits and pieces were produced by Lucasfilm, and Ryan worked with the story group. You can tell that in the creation of this movie, no one talked to the story group or they were overridden, right? And so you can tell because of how much canonical shifting we have experienced. And that's why it feels off-center to many people that consumed all the media. And it's almost like... And I've always had empathy for people that loved the EU. And I've always had empathy for people that didn't understand The Last Jedi because it wasn't their myth. But what ended up happening is that this mythic hodgepodge was two mythic binaries of how our society viewed this cultural myth ended up being played out in the same movie, and that's why it's so diametrically opposed to itself throughout the course of it. And is there anything that you want to say before we kind of sign off on this episode? We got a lot of catharsis by just feeling this out, and then we're going to do some analysis in our part two.
No. I'll save it, because I am absolutely, like, I walked out of this film feeling absolutely betrayed and absolutely played with, I guess. And I can give the creators all the excuses. I can defend them still, which is kind of weird, just based on ignorance. But I definitely felt betrayed by the system, I guess. It's so metatextual, and I'm very upset with the whole thing.
I'm just so tired. This movie betrayed many people that had invested emotional coin and heart into it and into the universe, and satisfied those that were previously dissatisfied because of their attachment to the nostalgia myth. And I am not saying that either of those things are wrong. In fact, both are true. And that's at the heart of the problem of what happened. Both of these mythologies are true, because the Skywalker saga and this iterative myth, and go back to, I want, if you need a break, I totally understand before you jump into our part two. But if you want to listen to some really good conversations that prepared me for what happened, listen to Myth and Myth Making with Ken Liu that I did earlier on this last year, and listen to The Power of Myth with Dominic, where we talk about the invisible wounds, especially betrayal and suffering, because what we are experiencing, if you felt betrayed, which you might not have, right? You might not have felt betrayed, and that's okay. But what some people are experiencing with this dissonant myth, this myth that is fighting itself internally, is a betrayal to some. And those feelings are valid, and it creates an invisible wound. And unless you work through it and you process it right away, or process it at some point, it can cause a generational scar. And that is what it will be interesting to see what happens with this story. And even though I didn't like this story and I didn't appreciate it, I will consider the chunks of it that I love as solidly part of canon, and I will tolerate the rest of it, but put it in its place. And that is how I'm going to process it. And then I'm going to tell you how this all happened, and then or at least what I think happened, as well as what ended up happening from a resolution perspective in our part two. Because I think it's important to recognize that although I felt like I was going to walk away from Star Wars, I'm not, because I know how this happened, and I know how it's not going to happen again. And that to me is what I take home, because I have loved everything that George Lucas produced. Everything. I love Clone Wars. I love Rebels. I love Resistance. I love what the other 8 movies, and I love aspects of the myth that came through in this movie, regardless of the rest of it and the shell. And it was a pretty movie, and time will be kind to it. And I can explain that, but not right now. I need a drink of water. Ty, I guess, where can people find you?
Yeah, they can find me at black_TYM on Twitter, and you can find me on YouTube at Wit and Folly. I'm working on a couple of things right now. Just bear with me. I'm going to be taking apart what this means going forward in a video format. I will be doing that, but I do need to sit on this one for a while. And then also the ongoing Raylo project I'm working on as well will be something that I think will have a more interesting meaning now that this has happened. So yeah. We still have to do part 2.
Thank you for listening to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host. Our music is orchestral music composed by Christy Carew for What the Force. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/whattheforce. We like to thank all our patrons, especially those who love and are obsessed with What the Force: Melody, Night Huntress, In Wild Space, Susan, Jessica, Cassandra Corvid, Brad, Black Eyed Lily, Anna Perez, Raylo Musings, and Jawa Dog. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube or leave a 5-star review on iTunes or any of your other pod apps. It helps people find the show. You can connect with us on Twitter at What the Force Show, at What the Force Podcast on Facebook, or on our website, whattheforce.ca. Feel free to reach out and start a conversation. Cheers.